Welcome to DAX Machina. Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world.
What
the
is
heck?
going on?
Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks. Thank you. Yeah, what was that? Good evening, folks. Thank you for joining us for another edition of DAX Machina. We're having some crazy technical glitches just out the jump. So, yeah, I think after the show we did on UFOs the other night,
We're gonna get disappeared.
We fixing to disappear, folks.
I find it kind of strange that Doc showed up and we started having technical issues. What's going on with that? Doc, did you start work for a new agency?
Know, man.
That'll teach you to say
he's
bad things about
working
the
for
Air Force.
another significant company.
He's sitting there in his hoodie, instead of saying Dark Angel says MIB.
Christians in action.
Oh dear God.
Well, we're off to a heck of a start with glitches aplenty. For some reason, the intro started to play, then it froze, and then it started to play again, then it stopped, and then the intro finally played. So I guess hopefully keep your
We
fingers
get there
crossed.
eventually.
Yeah, hopefully we've got the technical glitches out of the way right up front. Folks, we're going to have an awesome show for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about the Cherokee legend of the Tsul Kalu. Could it be just another type of Bigfoot, or is it something even stranger? We're going to be examining the legend from multiple points of view. We've got a whole host in here for you, for the panel for you tonight, bringing a lot of different points of view, and I think you're going to like the conversation tonight. We got a Doc jumping in at the very last second. I mean, the intro was playing when Doc jumped in.
Skin of his teeth, man.
My son had just left, so he had some stuff he had to get done. So yeah,
we heard the scraping sound as he eked in at the last second.
It was like glitch no doc, and then the intro ends, and then there's Doc, and it's like, whoa!
came through a portal.
Anthony, you're catching some grief from Sal. Put away that Yankees mug.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the Yankees, all right?
What's up, Sal? I know, long time, man. I haven't been here. I haven't been feeling good. I had some work done on my mouth, so I didn't want to come in looking like, a crackhead and get all messed up. So,
Why is that any different than any other time, Anthony?
True. But yeah. Hi, everybody.
It was years of crayon buildup is what did the damage.
I'll just say hello to everybody now and in the comments, so I don't have to sit here and type. But hi, everyone.
He had to get the wax cleaned out of his teeth finally.
That's it.
Yep. Years of wax buildup finally took its toll.
It takes its toll on everyone,
Oh, I sent you that video. Did you guys see that one with the Matt Best? When they do the Halloween one?
I don't do a lot of seeing anymore, Anthony. My eyes have stopped working in my old age.
Yeah, you're old. He tells him to eat the crayons or you're going to die, and he eats like 36 boxes of them.
Oh, my God.
Pops one in his mouth, and the guy's looking at him. He goes, "You're all right?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Damn, thought I was going to kill you." He goes, "No, you're not. We used to eat these all the time."
Toxic.
I figured you guys get a crack out of that when I sent it.
That was pretty good. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
Very good. Mr. Doc, long time, man. How you been?
Long time. I've been all right. How you been, man?
I'm good. I'm feeling much better now, man.
Good. I'm glad, man.
We're glad you're finally back with us, brother.
Yes.
Take a quick minute to introduce everybody. We've got some new faces in the crowd tonight that I don't recognize, so I'll introduce the panel. You guys are familiar at all with my books. My name's D.A. Roberts. I write several cryptid series, and we'll hang around with these guys on a regular basis. To my right, or actually left on screen, my right, is Robbie Rip Rains, and my brother from another mother from South Crackalacky. He's a South Carolina professional man tracker. He's always tracking those dudes. He's a law enforcement officer, career law enforcement, trained tracker, field researcher, And he brings a really great perspective, especially when we start talking about boots on the ground experience. We got Anthony Pitbull Canatella in the crowd. He's been absent for a little bit. He's been having some orthodontia issues that he's got straightened out. Too many years of eating crayons and MREs messed him up. But he's back in action now and back to the 64 pack a day.
That's it.
He's back on his regular diet.
You gotta stay on that regimen, man. You can't break it.
Yeah, I have to. No iron in it. That's the whole problem.
Oh, you gotta get the no iron crayons. Gotcha.
You're getting the high calcium crayons. He's getting all
there. You go.
But right beneath me is Steve Wildman Monrotis, the brother that helped me start this whole fiasco. He comes to us from a law enforcement and a medical background. So he brings an awesome perspective, especially when we start talking about anatomical differences and the possible biological evidence. So Steve's going to be bringing us a fantastic perspective. Jorgamunder, twitch.tv/Jorgamunder. That is my youngest son. He's kind of grown up in the field as I've been into this since long before he was alive. So he's kind of been born and raised in around this stuff and has really developed a good perspective of his own. And I love having him on the show. And over in the far corner is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis, owner and founder of Dark Angel Medical, former Special Forces combat medic. Somewhere.
Robbie's just over here like
I wasn't.
He was one of those accessories that regular sized special forces operators carried in their cargo pocket, but then later got a chest rig. But but Doc is a shooter and a looter.
They base mini-me on.
Yeah.
Doc, you get the right harness, you can actually wear him on your back and always have somebody watching your back.
Master Blaster style.
It's like it's some multicam baby Bjorn, type of thing.
I'm picturing like your entire BDUs having little molly tabs on them so they can strap you to the plate carrier.
It happens. I don't know.
Just little backpack straps on the back of his BDU so they can just walk over and slide in and pick him up and run off with him.
His BDUs have like 9 Grimlock attachments on the front.
Saying that one special forces operator that lost his leg that they let back in, they actually did that. His leg broke in combat, his fake leg, and they strapped him. They put him on a backpack to get him out of there, and he was shooting. I was listening to his story. He was on.
That is some legendary shit right there.
What show? Vigilance. The Sean Ryan, and they put him on his back, and he was shooting Taliban as they were bugging out.
Hey,
and he had his leg dangling.
That's a bad dude.
You got your own personal tail gunner. Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, yeah.
I was like, oh my god!
You start taking fire from the ridgeline, you duck down, and he can see the ridgeline perfectly.
Yeah.
Snipers up on the platform already.
That's funny though how they just let him. I mean, he passed all the tests. He had one bad leg. They call him the Cyborg over there.
That's awesome.
that's a great nickname.
Yeah, they're afraid of him.
That is a great nickname.
Because he'll walk around with one leg is cut off the pants, and all you see is this titanium skeleton leg with all these pistons on it and stuff.
Like Terminator leg.
Yeah, and they got scared. They're like, "Was he a cyborg?" Or, like what?
That's pretty rad. Yeah, so that's who I am.
Kerry brings a hell of a perspective to this. So plus we've got Robbie and Doc both have Native American blood in their background, and we've all done independent research as well as research together. So it's going to be an interesting set of perspectives brought to this conversation. I wanted to make a comment on that. William Nighthawk says, "Nice hat, DA. Is the hat for sale? LOL." Yeah, I wanted to comment on that. This is my regular black leather hat, but William Nighthawk, as you guys know, is a Lakota shaman, and he made this hat band specifically for me, along with a spirit bag that has a Dogman engraved on it. It's gonna green screen it out.
The green screen is just eating that.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife made a set of Bigfoot earrings for my wife.
Nice.
So that's pretty freaking cool. Yeah, I just had to brag about the hat there for a second because I think it looks really good on this hat. So
I
I'm
think
pretty
it looks
happy
really
with
good too.
Yeah, it's not really good.
Your shirt, DA, is that the Patterson Gimlin film that's on there?
Yeah, but he's got if you look, he's wearing a like a trucker hat and a flannel.
Oh,
Oh,
Well, we lost somebody.
we lost you for a
lost
second.
you briefly.
What the
was
hell?
that?
Yep, we just
That was
there we go.
awesome.
What?
What?
We rearranged.
We also lost Doc.
That's
He's,
bizarre.
he's muted and his camera's gone. Dog, are we under attack right now?
No kidding.
Well, I just
You know, we've had some weird stuff happen since the UFO show. So God knows.
Getting crummy
Oh,
keyed
man.
out, so I couldn't figure out what was on it.
I guess we lost Doc for the moment. But you know,
The satellite must
you
be
guys,
switching.
yeah, no kidding. Are y'all familiar with the legend of the Tsul Kalu?
We were discussing it briefly in the car earlier, but that was the first I've been hearing of it.
Well, it basically means the slant-eyed or the sloping giant. It's a legendary figure from Cherokee folklore, and they consider him the lord of the game because to the Cherokee, hunting was everything, and he was basically in charge of all the game animals. He was the greatest hunter, and the biggest offense you could make would be to trespass on his land. There are some people that think the Tsul Kalu is a version of Bigfoot, and there are others that think it is basically like the Giants of Lovelock Cave. In some depictions, in fact, there's one rock called the Cherokee rock, where there's supposedly a 7-fingered handprint where it touched ground. But then other versions, they said he had 6 fingers. But he's described as being huge. And in the legends, he basically courted and married a Native American girl, and had offspring with this woman. But he's also a very vengeful being. People would be attacked or ran out of his territory. It was said he could leap from mountain to mountain to go after people who were trespassing on his land. A fearsome hunter. But then, of course, you got to start getting into modern pop culture, and you get all sorts of references. I'm not going to delve too much into the Echolocation rock. There's the whole documentaries on that. It's this gigantic rock in North Carolina with all of these petroglyphs on it, and some of them have a very large resemblance to Ogham script, which I don't know if you guys are familiar what Ogham script is. But it's precursor to Celtic writing.
Yeah, I've seen, and I got that hand. Wasn't there a handprint in one of the rocks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's supposedly a 7-fingered handprint. I had a picture of it somewhere, but I haven't been able to find it.
That script you're talking about, that's the stuff that's on the Kensington runestone, right?
Right.
Okay. I want to make sure I was on the right page here.
My arms do seem to be missing at the elbow. Naoma's calling me out.
William says it's the safe medicine from the bag working against the bad medicine from the subject you're discussing. It's entirely possible.
Having a little bit of
got your juju conflicting with your mojo.
Mixed medicine going on.
Who did the super chat? I missed it. Oh, Flyby Stu says appreciation to you all. Buy Cam a drink. Thanks. Thank you, man. Anytime. Appreciate the super chat.
Yeah, Where's that handprint at, DA? Where's that in Carolina?
It's on the Echolocation rock
In North Carolina.
North Carolina, right?
In North Carolina.
I figured that.
World Bigfoot Radio says Echolocation was a Genosqua who infested the area for a while. Well, that's an interesting perspective, because I'm kind of leaning after everything I've read over the last week or so about the Tsul Kalu. I'm really leaning toward it being a type of Sasquatch. Just the way the descriptions are, just the way it behaves, especially being territorial. We see that in modern Sasquatch sightings all the time. How people will get bluff charged or ran out of an area.
It tracks.
And I mean, it falls into what we were discussing with which one was it a week ago or so, when we were discussing Bigfoots and possibly being cave dwelling or subterranean.
Mhm.
I think we were talking. Ohio grassman was one we were talking
Yeah,
about.
the Ohio grassman. Yeah. The Tsul Kalu are said to live in caves. So I mean,
Right.
it's consistent with the idea of Sasquatch being cave dwelling as well.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting theory. We kind of mulled over for a little bit there. So, I mean,
Well, it makes a certain amount of sense, especially if you look at the possibility, like we were saying, that tree knocks aren't tree knocks at all, but some sort of echolocation.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
Steve, Doc, were you guys there when we were talking about that?
No, I think it was just me, you, and Noah on that one.
I think it was just the three of us. Yes.
Well, we were talking about how people hear that loud, or they'll hear. They say it sounds like somebody slamming a Louisville Slugger against a tree.
Yeah,
what if it's not?
Yeah.
What if it's not a stick on stick? What if they're doing it with their mouth? What if it's so they can navigate these dark caverns?
Yeah, that's what I remember talking about that. They do those popping with their mouth like they do in Africa. That one African tribe does it.
Right.
Well, like we talked about, there's actually blind people that have learned to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They make that clicking sound with their mouth, and they use it as a form of echolocations. I mean, it's a
Shy Dorsai says echolocation is ultrasound. Well, if they're capable of infra or ultrasound, either one, then echolocation is not a real big stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was even a TV show where this blind guy, Robbie might have seen this, blind guy actually taught himself, he was riding a bicycle and he would be clicking as he was driving the bike.
Yeah, they set up that obstacle course for him, and he went through the obstacle course just clicking away and missing all the.
So that's definitely a plausible theory right there for sure.
Tanya Willis says, I tend to lean more towards some sort of vocalization is actually knocking on trees. And that's kind of the theory we're starting to develop. I mean, it's not like you think we got Bigfoot walking around the woods carrying essentially a Louisville Slugger so we can top out every once in a while and do. It's somewhere over in the forest, do. Yeah, so it's more realistic to think that it's something they can just do.
Yeah, and I mean, like we were discussing it like Bigfoot, Sasquatches, whatever. We were discussing the possibility of them being more subterranean than just out in the woods, because there's not a lot of seeing bodies of them as we all know, and there's a lot of times where people go out in the woods where there have been reported sightings and not find anything. And so our kind of running theory is that they use the clicking to navigate in the dark as a form of echolocation, because think of any other subterranean animal out there. It develops the ability to navigate based off of sound, which would be why, even though, we send somebody into a cave, they go exploring in the cave, they have no idea what it is. And you hear that crack, you think it's just a rock falling, right? But these things would be able to dive deep into these caves, and we'd never be able to reach where they are.
Yeah, true.
Sherry Ray says, what's y'all's theory on their life expectancy? Again, that one's just going to be best guess. There's really no way to know.
If they run into us, they're not going to live too long. I can tell you that. But no, I mean, besides, probably like us.
I would say probably human or longer.
I was going to say, if you base it off of hominids, right? If you base it off of large hominids, be it humans, be it apes, whatever, it can vary drastically. I mean, like we have some apes that their species only lasts for 60 to 70 years. We have some that will outlast humans by a little bit. Like it's just kind of, I mean, on average, I'd say they probably live about the same lifespan as humans. Mm-hmm. Like I would say that's an easy and solid wager to go for. Would be they would live about the same time as humans.
Well, that one gentleman, I think DA knows what I'm talking about. So I mean, everybody probably does, but that one family over in Kentucky that actually befriended them. Do you remember what I'm talking about? The one that what's her name did? Green.
Jane Goodall.
The older lady was out there doing research.
Oh, Mary Green.
Mary Green, and I guess he friended the grandfather, and I guess lived to be in its 60s, 70s. and the name of the Bigfoot was Blackie, that he has a friendship with, that he had that.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys read the book. Did you guys ever read the book or see the documentary on it that she did?
I think I did a long time ago.
Yeah, and so he lived to be about maybe 60 or 70 years old. So, I mean, yeah, so probably normal lifespan as us nowadays. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about something that would be about our size, and I mean, logistically would be most likely classed as a hominid. So, I mean,
well, if it's like dogs, what? A big dog, Great Danes only live to be what? 7 years old, 8 years old? I mean, not to get off the subject, but big
Well,
dogs
yeah.
don't live that long.
big dogs, certainly, yeah.
No
Right.
big animal lives a long life for some reason. So who knows?
It has to do with the larger bones and the proneness for like
Mhm.
bone cancers and bone diseases.
You know,
Well, I mean, but
So-
the opposite's true in like crocs and gators and things like that, because the bigger ones are the older ones. So you
Yeah.
get a 20+ foot croc, it's probably going to be 70 to 100 years old.
Right. Even here in Florida, with the alligators, you get a 13-footer. Now they're estimating, they got ones now that are, measuring out at 14 feet here in Florida.
It's a big gator.
Big bull gators that are like 90 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Tracy Hull says Great Danes live 9 years max. We had a bull mastiff and an English mastiff. We lost our bully to bone cancer when he was about 6. But our English mastiff lived to be, what was it, right about 10, wasn't it, Noah?
About
Yeah.
10, 11, somewhere around there.
just like
Yeah.
mine, just
He
like
was
my
an old
American,
man.
Yeah, my American bulldog, my female, she lived to be about 11 or 12.
And I really think what got Xander wasn't necessarily bone. I think he's like starting to lose some of his like cartilage and ligaments, but I don't think he got bone cancer. I think he just got to a point where he wasn't strong enough to pick himself up again.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Kevin Bode says, has anyone ever looked for the tree that gets hit because the bark should be damaged? I've talked to several people that have heard the tree knocks, but I don't know that I've known anybody that's found the tree that was struck.
I don't know that I know of anybody that's ever looked. I don't think
Yeah,
that's.
I've never heard anybody say on all the documentaries I've ever watched. I've never heard anybody say, "I'm gonna go see if I can find the tree that they were knocking off."
Yeah, well, what tree were they hitting? Let's go find that.
If I hear it, I'm out in the remote woods. I'm just going to GTFO in a hurry.
Yeah, Steve said, no, this ain't the place for me. You look at the time. It's a hair past a freckle. That means it's time for us to get the hell out of here.
Time to go.
You watch a half-crippled fat man move at a higher rate of speed.
Well, realistically, most people, unless they're crazy-minded like we are, when they hear something like that, or like their reaction is the nope reaction, like, yeah, whatever the hell that was, I'm not going that way.
Yeah, that came from over there. We're going over there.
Well, Steve said he didn't have to outrun Bigfoot. He just had to outrun me. I believe that was your quote the other day, Steve.
Yep, that's the plan. That's why I make friends with people that are somewhat motivationally impaired, because we go out in the woods.
Go ahead and say it, Steve. Make friends with a fat guy who can't run fast.
Jessica's in the house. Hey, Jessica, she did a show on the Tsul Kalu, which I was watching earlier. It was really good. She said, I think the wood knocks could be them clicking their tongue, but who knows? That's a theory I've been operating under for a while. Because I can do it with my tongue, and it can be pretty dang loud. Naoma Fenn says, big knocks require big sticks. Do you want to find something big enough to carry a big stick that may or not be angry enough to hit a tree?
Yeah, and I mean, like, if they're doing it with their tongue, this is something we were discussing last time I was on as well. If they're doing it with their tongue, I mean, you got to keep in mind this is a creature that has a much larger voice box than us, and this is a much larger larynx than us. You know what I mean? So
far greater lung capacity,
right? Yeah, it's going to be capable of making sounds that we are physically incapable of making. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, the Sierra sounds when they were analyzed by the Navy, they discovered that they had peaks and valleys above and below what human vocal range is capable of making. So it was outside our ability to even duplicate those sounds. Penny Van says at DA Ex Machina podcast, gentlemen, your spouses also research with you. I don't know so much if I could call it research, but my wife usually goes most of the places with me. She went to LBL with me, but yeah, she stayed at the condo while I was traipsing around LBL. But she has gone to a lot of really, really nuts places with me and has had a few sightings of her own.
My spouse is like the square root of negative 100. She's a 10, but she's also imaginary. So I mean,
See, mine is just smarter than I am, so she, leaves me to my own devices.
yeah,
I ain't got one of them.
yeah, me and Robbie over here doing our bachelor shit, man.
But my daughter has gone with me before.
Very true.
Well, I guess I can't really say that accurately. The couple of nutty excursions we've made, she has gone with. Now that I think about it,
That's true. She was there when we recorded the Joe Bald video.
this is true.
And then I was there when we went back and we just started traipsing off into the woods. Just like, all right, well, if we're going to find this thing, we got to go find it. I was more scared of the spiders that were hanging down from the trees than I was scared of seeing that thing.
Hey, that's Missouri in the fall.
Oh my God, you walk into one of those things in the middle of the night, you get into some deep woods karate there.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
or find one big enough to just shoot it.
There were a couple of those. There were a couple of those hanging from the trees that I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't bring a gun. Over there, like, contemplating getting a lighter out of the car, but I'm like, I don't want to set a wildfire off in the forest. Then I'll catch me an arson charge or something.
Penny Van says she just thinks it's amazing when families do this together. Well, Noah's been kind of, into it since he was little. And my wife, she kind of,
she tags
what's the
along
word I'm
sometimes.
looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Unwillingly becomes a participant. Yeah, an unwitting accomplice.
She gets voluntold to go.
No, she's usually along for the ride.
Well, my wife just reminded me she usually doesn't leave the car, but then it occurred to me that the last little expedition we went on, she was trying to call in turkeys to attack us.
That's true. She almost did.
Yeah, that's. I'm not quite sure that she's friendly.
But my oldest son and my middle son aren't really into this sort of thing, but my youngest certainly is.
Me, I'm that one.
Yeah, that's Noah. He's the youngest one. So kind of got sidelined there. Sorry. I'm trying to keep up with all the comments. They are really flying tonight.
David asked if I went unarmed. I went unwillingly. I got picked up from work that day, and he was like, "Hey, you want to go to Joe Bald?" And I was like, "I guess."
I
was out
he's
there.
Been going to places like this since he was in a car seat.
I was out there in slacks and a suit vest.
I asked if you wanted to go change.
I was wearing $300 Italian loafers in the woods, dog.
Hey,
Nona Boss is in the house. Hi, Marty.
Doing right, Noah. Right?
David By. Yeah, she has had stuff.
Doing right.
That's right. David By said she's also had stuff thrown at her. Yeah, when we were in Lexington, Missouri, we were doing a kind of a Bigfoot bonfire out in the woods behind this horse ranch. And her and Krista were sitting off to the side, and they kept getting stuff thrown at them. Shy Dorsai says on a bivouac, a guy laid his sleeping bag at night on a crack on the ground. Turned out to be a nest of tarantulas. That's a terrifying way. Ooh,
don't like that.
Yeah, that's not how I want to get woke up.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm not as scared of spiders that don't make webs. If they don't make webs, I'm less scared of them, but that doesn't mean that I'm not scared of them.
I hate spiders.
I don't want to cuddle up with the damn things, that's for sure.
No, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
But I would a whole lot rather curl up on a nest of spiders than a nest of snakes.
True, yeah. Although I'm not scared of snakes. I just know what they're capable of.
Well, some of the sandboxes y'all have been in, they've got, spiders that'll carry away a dog.
Yeah, no kidding.
I've seen some of those pictures from the sandbox. No,
folks, if I don't catch all of your comments, I apologize. I am trying to keep up with them, but there are a lot of comments that are already flying by. So we'll try to keep up with them. So TsulKalu, boys, what do you guys think? Do you think it's a giant like the giants of Lovelock Cave, which were when you read the physical descriptions are very much like the giants of Kandahar, which could, some people believe that's a type of Nephilim. Do you think it's that, or do you think it's more a bit of a Bigfoot creature?
I think there's probably a correlation between all of them. Honestly, I don't think it's a Nephilim type creature, because we're talking in the case of Nephilim, we're talking about something that is on a sub god level power, and I mean like I don't mean like sub big G god. I mean like less powerful than an actual not an actual, but less powerful than, say, like.
You're talking more of a demigod status.
Your Norse gods. Yeah, it's about like on the power of a demigod, right? So why would it be in a cave if it has the power to just change its appearance, right? So I don't think it's like a Nephilim or anything like that, but I think historically every culture around the world has had stories of Bigfoot-like creatures. So for there to be Bigfoots in the desert being the Kandahar giant, or for there to be, the Tsul Kalu, right?
The giants of Lovelock Cave were in Lovelock, Nevada, so they were very much desert-dwelling cave dwellers too.
And I mean, also you got to keep in mind that like they don't necessarily have to be like 10 feet tall to be a giant. I mean, the Anglos would refer to even the Saxons as giants, because the Saxons stood a good 4 or 5 inches taller than everyone else. So I mean, like, in order to be a giant, the bar is set pretty low.
I mean, Doc refers to everybody as a giant. It's
well, yeah. I mean,
Personally, I think if you look at all the other sightings from North and South Carolina, it's mostly Bigfoot sightings. You don't hear anybody else report sightings of like the giants of Kandahar. I mean, maybe 1 or 2, but for the most part, it's all Bigfoot stuff. So I would tend to think that that's more along the lines of I mean, Noah's got a very good point, and I think that's a good reason why it's not that. But I just think, just breaking it down on the simplest level, if it was the other, you would have heard a lot more reports coming out about stuff like that. And it's not, you just hear the Bigfoot sightings.
Right. Eli Harrison says, I wonder if it was one of the giants found in Native American burial mounds. Over the centuries, there have been a lot of giant skeletons found. And they somehow seem to just disappear into the archives of the Smithsonian, never to be seen again. The ones they had at Lovelock Cave, the giants of Lovelock Cave, they have numerous photographs of those. They were on display in the museum at Lovelock for years until the Smithsonian asked to borrow them to study. And the Lovelock Museum still has the receipt that they were given by the Smithsonian, but the Smithsonian claims to have no record of the giant bones that they took.
There's a pattern there.
Yeah, every time the Smithsonian gets involved, the samples are never seen again, and that is not just that is chain doses, which are like examples of giant skeletons. Yeah, if you've got them, throw them up in the Discord. But I've seen dozens of reports of them myself, including ones that were found by U.S. soldiers during World War II when they were trying to build a runway on one of the Aleutian Islands, and they unearthed several giant skeletons. And some gentlemen from the Smithsonian showed up to catalog them, and they were never seen again.
I don't know. As far as the TsulKalu, I guess I'm trying to err on the side of, I guess Occam's razor here. It seems more logical or easier to comprehend for me that this is going to be some kind of an extant hominid versus some kind of a, half angel supernatural being. I guess maybe I'm reading too much into it, but not that those things can't exist. I just think it's more likely that something more traditionally biological is.
Well, that's one of the things that we've always tried to do here. We got Anthony and Doc and Robbie that have a very particular set of skills. We look for logical explanations on some of these supernatural aspects. Like people claimed that Bigfoot was able to cloak, and I'm not saying it can't. but we've come up with so many researchers that are finding these clear hair shafts. And that, to me, that is a far more logical explanation that its hair is picking up and redirecting the color of light around it than it's out there with a Klingon cloaking device. So we chew up.
So we do.
Imagine.
I wasn't laughing at
Imagine.
Steve. I wasn't laughing at you when you said that. I was laughing at something else that I read.
No
reading.
worries.
And then the when people say that, well, I was tracking one and the tracks just disappeared. Robbie has demonstrated this, and we talked about this. Special forces are trained to do this. Other animals in the animal kingdom do this. The animals will backtrack on their tracks. Humans will backtrack on their tracks. It's a skill you can learn. Special forces do it all the time. If they know they're being followed, they will backtrack until they can reach a point where they can throw the trail off. It is a common tactic. So if humans can do it, and we know grizzlies do it to people that are hunting them all the time, why is it so far-fetched to believe that a Sasquatch would do the same thing? So, me personally, when it comes to the TsulKalu, I'm strongly leaning to a type of Sasquatch.
Oh. Well, you made a very good point about special forces. You'll be able to do this skill. I was playing paintball several years ago with a ranger friend that and he disappeared. Like literally, he disappeared in the middle of this, lightly wooded area we were in. Wasn't wearing camo. He just wearing street clothes, just like I was, because we weren't the hardcore players. And for the rest of that match, I couldn't find him until he shot me.
Oh yeah, the best.
Well, he's a spooky dude.
The best
He's
is
a
that,
very spooky dude.
I know Robbie's seen the documentary on it. Now they're working on a ghillie suit that actually changes. Actually, they took the
Fiber optics.
fiber optic, but they took the scene from the Predator. If you look at this suit, because they have a prototype, I've seen it on the documentary. I don't know if Robbie's seen it yet. It's a new one. I got to send it to you guys.
The fiber optic.
It takes a battery. It's ran off of electricity, but it takes a small battery pack, and it actually changes your whole, structure, image. You look like the woods. You look like a piece of a mirror reflecting back. It's crazy what they just did. The stuff that they're coming out with, but yeah, they're not. I did a lot of watching TV when I was down and out with my mount, and the woo that was all over the YouTube was just crazy. I'm sorry.
It probably helped that you were medicated, which made it even more interesting.
Yeah, what? Actually, yeah, bring that. Yeah,
somewhat pharmaceutically gifted while watching YouTube.
I couldn't take it anymore. So many times I was gonna text everyone and be like, you know what? I can't. The stuff the stuff that was coming out of their mouth was just like, huh? And they actually believe it. DA knows how I feel about it, and I'm not gonna. Robbie and Doc and all of you, I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah, nope.
When we're talking about backtracking on trails, and someone pointed out even in deep snow, yes, even in deep snow, when we're talking about backtracking on trails, we've got two guys who have special forces qualifications that are backing this up. This is not something we're just pulling out of our smoke. It's not something like, oh, let's just pull this out of a sleeve and see if it sticks. This is being backed up by people with special forces training.
Well, what about Jim in the trees? How many times have people said that they've seen him in trees and they see? Well, Fred from Alaska. If I might be wrong, but didn't he comment on them jumping from tree to tree?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or seen them
sure did.
As big as they were.
Traveling in the canopy.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at that idea. I should clarify. You said jumping from tree to tree, and I immediately thought of Super Troopers.
Oh, nimbly bimbly.
Yeah.
Am I saying meow, boy?
But yeah, he made the comment about that. A lot of times he'll see them, or people have seen them jumping from tree to tree, and come on. Really, they don't go into portals. They don't disappear. It's.
Well, the thing is and I'm not going to just out and out say that stuff is impossible, because we know CERN opened a portal. CERN did open a portal, so portals do exist. But there's no other animal in the animal kingdom that opens portals.
There's also no other animal in the animal kingdom with a super collider. So I mean,
true. We do kind of have what is the word I'm looking for? We've got the monopoly on super colliders.
I think we would probably detect the energy output if there were some Bigfoots underground being like, what if we collide two particles?
Like
two super accelerated acorns.
There were gigawatts, if not terawatts, of power that were used to open that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they did that where in Sweden? Was that Sweden or Germany? They did that.
I won't say that portals are impossible. I'm not going to say that any of that what people consider the woo is impossible. I'm just saying that there are far more logical explanations. Yeah, you can't explain a mystery with another mystery. We're having a hard enough time getting people to believe that there's even a Bigfoot out there. But when you start throwing fantastic claims about it, jumping dimensions and telepathic speaking and having a cloaking device, you lose most people. Most people are like, that was crazy enough to think there's one out there, let alone that it can do all this. And if it could, why is it not at the top of the food chain? If it could just open a portal and walk into my living room, how are we still around?
Wait, they've said that. People have commented on that too, so let's not go there. They've said that too. That's why, they see shadow beings going into their house after they've been in the woods looking for Bigfoot. So, yeah. And Anna Nicole married for love also. So we all know that. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was all Kurt Cobain. It wasn't Courtney Love. There was no involvement there neither.
Right. Epstein didn't kill himself. The whole 9 yards. Right. The whole 9 yards.
World Bigfoot says, I showed video of blending and cloaking, episode 147, part 2. And we just had MK Davis on, who showed frames from what footage was that? Not the Patterson film footage, the Freeman film, where it stopped moving in front of a tree and disappeared. But it didn't go anywhere. It just blended in with the tree, and as soon as it started moving again, you could see it. It's the hollow hair. It's the clear hair shafts. Yeah, it's going to look like it's like an active blending field, but it's no different than chromatophores that are appearing in chameleons. It's redirecting the light around it. MK Davis slowed that video down, showed it to us. I think I can find that footage again. Let me look and see if I've still got it, and we'll show that right now. Let me find my stuff from the day.
Nona had a comment. She has a theory on how that explains how they would delete on the game cams. I think I know what she's talking about. I'm not going to give it up for her, but it's on.
I have an idea about that as well.
Well, we've often said we thought they can see the IR spectrum.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at like cats. Cats will always know whenever there's a camera on. They'll always their attention will immediately be drawn to it, right? So I mean, like, you gotta think, like, there's got to be other animals out there that are capable of that as well.
Reindeer, reindeer actually can. They actually found out that they can. They could see the light spectrum. Deer. What else? Some forms of cats, like you said, like bobcats, panthers.
Even house cats do. Like they'll there's a lot of instances where people like have nanny cams, or like they'll turn on the camera on their phone and the cat's attention will immediately snap to it.
Yeah, and even bears, like what's her name said on here on the comment. Bears can too. You'll catch them on the game cam. It's weird.
I mean, it's a common thing, man. It's a common thing for animals to be capable of doing. So I mean,
well, it's not even that. If you noticed, anything that has an eye shine, when you hit them with the light, I believe can see the IR spectrum because of the film. I guess it's I don't know what am I looking for, Doc and Steve? What is that called?
Oh, was it Test of Lucidum?
Doc, you're muted.
You're muted, Doc.
Sorry, it's the tapetum.
You guys are the medical experts, not me. So, Yeah, anything that has an eye shine, I believe, can see the infrared light spectrum on a game cam, motion detector light. Um, is just so common that you can see these things walking around there looking right at the camera, every time when it clicks off. Not even that, I got a game camera set up in the driveway and I'm playing with it and it makes no noise at all when it clicks off. And we got cats in and out of the driveway and I got pictures of cats um, trying to get that bear in the neighborhood, but we could see them on the game cam. They're looking right at it. As soon as they walk in the driveway, they're looking right at the game cam like, hey, it's right there. It's.
I'm just thinking about something as simple as bees. It's
Yeah.
not infralight; they can see ultralight.
Yeah.
And they've been able to prove that with that. I mean, there's no reason a more complex animal couldn't have some kind of extended vision spectrum.
I mean, hell, goldfish and salmon, and they can see infrared, or actually have enzymes that they can activate to see those spectrums.
Mm-hmm.
So they can like click a switch internally and see that stuff. So yeah, that's definitely plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was and even when I watched that documentary on that, they had a thing on the crocodiles. That film that goes over their eye, that clear film.
Yeah,
Nictitating
that nictating lens.
These guys were actually swimming up to them under the water, and some of them are getting in within a foot of them before they even realized that they were there. That the croc even knew the guy was there because they can't see underwater. They actually made that estimate. It's blurry under the water. They could see shapes, but they don't know what it was. It could be a fish. It could be another croc. But
That's why that's how they explain those black dots right around their nose. That's because they can't see other than
Right.
shapes, like you said. That's how they know when to strike when they're
Mhm.
underwater. If something gets close enough within those sensors, that's
they
when they
said
know to
that.
snap.
They said it's very rare for an alligator or a crocodile to attack somebody under the water when they open their mouth because of their flap in their throat.
Mm-hmm.
It'd have to be life threatening for them or something trying to catch them to do it. But they won't attack you if you're swimming under the water. It's like a 99% no, But yeah, it's weird how these animals act, even with like you said, with the light. Like I believe anything that has an eye shine back, when you shine a light, you can see eye shine. They could see motion detector lights and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I know we can't. I mean, what other? I mean, a bear. Does a bear have eye shine?
I have no idea.
Me either. I don't
No.
even know.
I think they do.
Okay.
I haven't gotten close enough to one in the dark.
I mean, I haven't
If
seen.
you know of,
Or that I know,
I've spotlighted a bear, but I've never seen eye shine on a bear. Deer, yeah.
I was
Hogs.
got to thinking about it. We were talking about how these critters seem to manage to just disappear as you're watching them. It occurred to me that you're talking about an animal that has spent generations, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years maybe, living in the woods. I've got to think about how much better than us their fieldcraft must be.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we can do now to Native Americans in like the 19th century, before all the urbanization and everything. Think about what these things are probably capable of with just the tens of thousands of years of experience, and when they're going against things that potentially could hurt them, revealing themselves isn't advantageous.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know if you guys ever watched that show. I don't know how true it was. That one guy that was on Discovery, Mick Dodge. You remember him that lived out in the woods, out in the the Pacific Northwest? He was kind of just survivalist. He just lived out there ever since we're talking about 30 years he lived out there. And all he ate was wild game and wild, berries. And I mean, he walked around barefoot out there, and they had him on this. I think it was the History Channel, the documentary, the Discovery Show. I mean, this guy was all buck leather skin, and I mean, his hair all long. I mean, this guy was full blown. I don't know how true it was, but living out in the Pacific Northwest, out in the rainforest for 30 years, that'll kind of mess you up on the top end right there. But I mean, walking around barefoot.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's
the bottom.
That's what
The bottom
Cody
of the-
Lundeen used to do on Dual Survival.
Yeah, but that was. I mean, come on, how stupid could you be? I mean, 18 below, and you're walking around with shorts and no boots.
I'm on the path on that one.
Yeah. And then you had what's his name that was with him, that special forces operator, and he's looking at him like, really, man? Like, you for real? Like, that's how you get frostbite, But some people can adapt to it, I guess. I don't know. Look at those guys over in Norway that jump in the water. I mean, they take ice baths. I'm like,
polar
what?
bear people or polar bears
Yeah.
or whatever.
Polar
Yeah.
bear challenge.
And it's like,
Nah, man, not for me.
yeah, but you figure that how long does it take, Doc, for you to get hypothermia? Like, as soon as you hit that ice water, the way
Less
it was?
5 minutes.
And they're in there 20 minutes swimming around.
Jeez.
Like,
No,
it's nothing
thank
to
you.
them. And they're getting out, and I'm like, these guys should be dead.
I got a healthy layer of blubber, but I ain't trying it.
So,
Not for me, man. I've got a pretty healthy layer of blubber as well, but I also have a very healthy like for not being in ice water.
Ugh.
oh, I didn't know that. Silver Fox put in there. DARPA is not the one that's working on the cloaking suit, Anthony. I don't know who was working on it, Silver. I just seen the documentary on it.
He said they are the ones working on it.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
Yeah,
DARPA.
yeah, he's an R.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so they are. Yeah, I figured they would be. Yeah, you figure they would be. They're working on a lot of crazy shit. I mean, really.
Yeah.
So that's for Wednesday show. We're not going to get into that till Wednesday.
But I'm pretty sure that that Bigfoot doesn't have access to DARPA level
No.
technology.
I'd reckon probably not.
Well, like they said, some of the hair, like you said, the hair is hollow, and it does change color under the spectrum light that what's his name showed. Hijack, he showed that when he puts light under it, it'll change color to a green to a blue to a it has all these different colors in it.
Well, Anthony, just think about what I told you about me and Johnny when we were up there
Mm-hmm.
and we saw something. We were looking at it. We were
Two
3
different
feet
areas,
apart.
right?
He was looking at one angle and I was looking at another angle. I saw one color. He saw a
Right.
different color, and we were looking at the same thing. Just because of the way the light was hitting it different,
Mhm.
we were both seeing different shades or
Yeah.
different colors, rather. I mean, that's in my mind that proves it to me anyway. I know
And their
nobody
skin.
else is out there, but Johnny and I both. When we looked at it, he said, "Did you see that?" And said whatever color he said, and I said, "Well, I saw it, but it was this color." So
Well, it's like the car paint that Anthony and I were talking about before
Yeah.
the show.
It changes with the light hits it.
Is that truck blue or black?
Mm-hmm.
I was unable to find that video from MK. I forgot he shared it from his screen. So I'll have to go back and see if I can find it on the old episode. But if that's I think it's from the Paul Freeman footage where that Bigfoot stops in front of the tree. He was following it and it stops in front of the tree and just winks out, and you see it happen right on camera.
yep, that was freaky.
Yeah, I mean,
And it didn't reappear until it moved.
Yeah, I was right. Silver Fox is the one with the battery, and the other one with the fiber optics. Yeah, it's two different suits they came up with that they were playing with to mess around with.
Well, there was some company that was working on a suit that kind of sort of resembled what the Predator did, but it was basically like the material was kind of a reflective material that had
That's the
it had a
one.
bunch of cameras in it that shined out and it reflected
That was
whatever.
the one.
Yeah, okay.
It was nanotechnology. That's the one.
Right.
That was the one that's the one I was talking about. Yeah, you remind me of that, Robbie, when they did it. It wasn't the fiber optic one. It was the one that was ran off electricity. And it was a small battery pack that you put on your.
Yeah, because they started first just with a big sheet,
Mm-hmm.
and they could show they could like get into a room and disappear that way, but then they started integrating it into an actual suit that you can wear.
They came out. They actually figured it out because they were trying to design something for thermal for the soldiers to wear BDUs that you couldn't, like a thermal scope couldn't pick them up with their heat signature.
You're talking about like some active, technology here.
Yeah.
There recently there was a group that had made they basically were trying to make like an invisibility cloak from Harry Potter.
I seen that one.
And they've got like a riot shield that you can stand behind, and it diffracts the light around, and you basically disappear behind it. I think Kyle Hill might have shown it on his channel recently.
Well,
I was
they actually have a blanket.
If you want to see,
they had a blanket.
If you want to see a DIY version of that, go to Jay Laser. He does all kinds of, like, his viewers will send in, like, he's done stuff like making an Iron Man suit with the little thruster. Yeah, he actually did a DIY version of that invisibility thing. So
yeah, they actually made it looked like the size of like a towel, and they actually made one where you could stand. You put it up in front of you, and you can't. It's like you're invisible, and then you drop it down. It's weird how they did it. This guy was standing in a garden, and he put it up in front of him, and you couldn't even see him. He was part of the garden. You were like, whoa. So yeah, DARPA, and they come out with some crazy stuff. So we all know that.
Any of that would be absolutely terrifying. Says camping in the Boundary Waters years ago. I left camp to use the ladies' room tree. Felt hot air on my backside. Stood up fast. Put a flashlight behind me, and a bear had been sniffing me. Oh, that is way too close for comfort.
Yeah, that would
definitely improve the bowel health.
Yes, although the bear might have been going.
Half past time to get the hell out of here.
It's like the human equivalent of squid ink.
Truth.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yep. Nutsy, nutsy, nuts.
Oh man.
Yeah, Silver. He said they're trying to make something to hide tanks and Hummers. Yeah, I've seen it's the same. I think it's the same show, Silver Fox.
Straight up active camouflage.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts when that stuff's out.
Like I said, there's so much stuff that they have that you have no idea the stuff that they have locked away that they won't even use. They probably are using that we don't know about. So, and we'll never be told.
Being used in like severe black bag operations that don't exist.
We'll never be told. Just like the chopper that they used in the Bin Laden raid. That was supposed to be a scrub project. The Comanche. That was supposed to be totally scrubbed. Okay? They didn't have the funding for it. Nothing. It was done, over with. You never heard another thing about it. Years later, here come the pictures.
There it is.
Yeah. Because they had to actually blow one up, right? Because it hit the wall, right, Doc?
Right.
Hit the wall when it came down. Yeah. So it, right there, you're like, wait a minute, that thing wasn't supposed to exist. So there you go. I mean, look at the stealth bomber and the stealth fighter. They designed that back in the 50s.
Yeah, just didn't have the technology to build it.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Ugh.
And then you got all this stuff going on, out in the woods, and people, they jump in and out of portals, and, okay. Well, no, it's not Chewbacca, people. Trust me. They're not going to his home planet and jumping on the Millennium Falcon. So,
But these like the legend of the Tsul Kalu, I think there is some basis in reality. I mean, Native Americans often described mystical abilities to different animals.
Right.
Like wolf was a representation of one of the Lakota gods. I use that term. Use the term god for want of a better term. It was one of their totem spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So different aspects of different animals were given supernatural explanations and beliefs, but that doesn't mean it's not really a real creature. Just because they might have ascribed magical abilities to the spirit of wolf, doesn't mean the wolf is not a real creature. We know wolves are the genetic predecessors of dogs. We know that the wolf is a real creature, but they talked about the wolf as part of their mythology. And again, like I said, it was ascribed certain supernatural abilities, but we also know that the physical creature itself doesn't have those abilities. So just because the Native American lore ascribes the supernatural abilities to the totem that might be Bigfoot or the Tsul Kalu, doesn't necessarily mean the real creature actually has them. It just means that is part of their spiritual belief, the pantheon of beliefs, so to speak, and that there might be a spiritual version which is very different from the physical version. It doesn't mean it's hopping portals. It doesn't mean it's possessed of alien technology. It just means that they have ascribed significance to it beyond the physical realm. Much like I've used this example before, and I'll use it again. The ancient Vikings used to say that the aurora borealis was the light reflecting off the armor of the Valkyries as they were waiting to choose the slain. Well, that's part of their cosmology. That was part of their beliefs. But we know for a fact what the aurora borealis is today. It has nothing to do with the Valkyrie. However, that was still part of their belief system, and therefore ascribed a certain amount of mysticism. And it doesn't reduce it in any way. It doesn't take away from it being part of their beliefs. It doesn't take anything away from that at all. We just know there's a scientific explanation for what they ascribed a spiritual explanation to. Just because there's a scientific and a spiritual explanation doesn't invalidate either of them.
Right. I mean, the Native Americans, they're very spiritual. I believe, when they say, like, when even William says something, I mean, you're going back 100,000s of years, what they talk about. Who they were here first. They've dealt with these creatures first. They've traded with these creatures first. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to mock them on it, because I do believe something is happening. I mean, maybe it is spiritual. Who knows? Could be. Never know. We've had weirder stuff happen to us. DA with ghost, me with ghost, everything with paranormal. You never know.
Right.
It's possible. Exactly. It's possible.
Cowboys 5 Ring says some say Bigfoot sometimes will levitate while walking, like gliding. Have you guys heard of this? Yeah. If you look at the Patterson-Gimlin footage, the way it walks, like if you watch how most people walk, there'll be a certain amount of bounce to their step, just movement of the whole body as they walk. But if you look at the Patterson-Gimlin, it does kind of appear to almost glide. It's not that it's doing anything in anything like levitating. It's the way it keeps its knees bent when it walks.
It almost
Robbie
reminds me of cross-country skiing the way it moves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie and Anthony and Doc will back me up on this. When you stack up outside a door, when you go into a building, you keep your knees bent when you walk.
Yep.
You there's none of this just jumping around. You want a fluid motion, because when you walk like that, it keeps your target where it's supposed to be. You train to walk like that when clearing buildings. It's no different with that. It's a specialized gait that it in a larger creature like that much more bounce, there's probably death on its joints. Mm-hmm. So they probably adapted to walking like that, so its joints don't take the brunt of the damage of all that body.
You also have to keep in mind the size of this animal. I mean, like the length of the legs, the head bob from not adapting that sort of a gait would be disorienting. I mean, like you're slowing you're just like throwing yourself around, right? And oh, that tree branch seems like it's a little above my head. That's fine. And then you get closer to it and bonk. Okay, you know. But you keep your stature rigid, and as you're approaching it, you're like, oh, okay, you know.
Well, even Eric said it. You know, not even just Marines, anybody when they march, nobody bounces. When you're doing a formation march, you don't bounce.
Yeah. Well, even on this from the civilian side, you see that in like marching bands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they walk with that kind of a glide step, so the instrument's not bouncing around, hitting them in the face. You know,
To me, the best example of that most anybody can see is the Marine Corps silent drill team. The way they walk, it's almost like they're just floating on air. Or watching the guards at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, how they march.
Another great example.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just. If you haven't seen it, you have to just see it to understand. But if you watch that, you'll understand what we're talking about.
I was going to point out that the Air Force does it too, but it's just because they're rolling around in their desk chairs.
Yeah.
True.
The Chair Force.
wow.
Chairborne.
Chairborne.
Chairborne Rangers.
Good grief.
Lord.
You know what an Air Force weapons malfunction is?
What?
What's that?
When our office chair rolls over our mouse cable.
Accidental discharge.
Oh no! I accidentally moved that document from the left side of my monitor to the right side of my monitor. Negligent discharge. I'm gonna get written up for that.
It happens.
Oh Lord. Shade that is thrown.
Well, I'm Air Force, so I could say that too. So
No.
William says he's going to give classes without walking.
walking without walking.
Yeah.
We just like T-pose and just float.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
Do like the Scooby-Doo, bound them on a cable.
Yeah.
What else?
Oh, grief, man.
But again, kind of jumping back, kind of trying to yank the conversation back towards Tsul Kalu. I strongly believe it's a type of Bigfoot. Just from not only the physical descriptions, but when you look into these legends, literally every Native American tribe has got their own name for a Bigfoot type creature, and some like the Lakota, Shiyetanka means big elder brother. Which means I thoroughly believe some tribes had peaceful encounters with these things, but then there are others that not so much. They talk about them stealing women and children in the night. They're
perfect example. Fred, Alaska.
Yeah, the Alaskans don't really have good stories about them.
No, because they're not friendly whatsoever up there. He keeps stating that in his shows. I mean, you got what else, DA? The ones in Texas are kind of
sometimes, depending on the area. The ones in the big thicket area have known to be pretty damned aggressive.
And how are all Native Americans all over the United States have the same creature on their totem poles or painted on walls? And you're talking thousands of years. There was no internet. What'd they do? I mean, seriously, you got one over in Oregon and then one in Florida. How did they communicate? They didn't.
Right.
So
these are tribes that probably had no contact ever.
Right. So how are they coming up with the same description as this from 1,000 years ago?
Well, I mean, like I was saying earlier, like we're talking about a creature, an animal that there's sightings all over the world, not just in North America. There are sightings all over the world. I mean,
Australia now. Where else?
Russia has them. Germany has them. Scotland has them. Africa has them. Like
Britain now. They're actually.
Yeah,
think about the Inca stones. Think about the Inca stones that are like 4,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they have lines.
Yeah, and they have pictures of Brontosaurus and Stegosaurus and T-Rex and all that stuff. How did they know? No internet back then. How did they know?
Because they lived among them. That's why.
Exactly. Just like these Native Americans that had these cave paintings and cave drawings. I mean, they didn't go into the bookstore and see a picture of it and say, "Oh, I think I'm gonna go back to my cave and draw a picture of that."
I've been
Look at-
researching this Triceratops. You guys know about
Yeah.
this Triceratops on the internet?
Yeah.
They're like, what are you talking about? We
I'm
live
gonna
in
go back-
Noctilan.
I'm gonna go back and paint this on the stone that looks like a big egg in my house.
Papua New Guinea. Well, DA knows about that. Those people that went Americans. They were doctors and people that worked in the missionary area were in Papua New Guinea. That one part of Papua New Guinea, I'm not trying to get off the subject, has these things flying around.
Well,
They've documented them, but it's so remote to get to the area, you can't even get a plane in there. So
it's the same. It's not really off topic though, Anthony, because it's the same thing. Because it's just like when the scientists were going into the Congo, and they were asking them to draw a picture of the Mekele and Mbembe, and they draw it on the ground, and then they'd show them a book, which none of them had ever seen a book before,
right.
and they'd show them a picture of like a T-Rex. What? No, that's not it. And they'd flip it over till as soon as they got to the big sauropods. Oh yeah, that's it right there.
I've seen that when they did that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get that. It's the same. You don't get those descriptions and those accurate descriptions like that unless you've seen it. It's not when you're in these remote areas like that, and then or back in that time, you just don't get that without. It goes back to the DA's thing about the Bowman incident. I mean, you don't get that level of detail just because somebody said, "Oh yeah, that's it." You live that.
You're living among them, so you've seen it. And people, but you're going to always get somebody out there that's going to have an explanation for that, Robbie. You know that.
Oh, I know, but
the Indians did this, and that's how they got the same thing, and it's not. They're the first true Americans here that dealt with these creatures and traded with them, and from what William Nighthawk says, traded with them and lived with them, and certain tribes were okay with them, and other tribes they fought with them, and so
Robert D says the same in the Congo. They had 6 feet tall lion killer chimps they found 10 years ago. Now the billy ape. The local natives have been telling for decades stories about these giant killer gorillas that would go out and kill lions, and Western science was like, no, that's just local tribal superstition.
Nonsense.
Until National Geographic got them on camera.
You got to do your English accent on that one, DA.
No, that couldn't possibly exist. Oh, wait, it's real. I get to name it.
I discovered it.
I saw it first. I saw it first. That was mine. I believed it the whole time.
Museum. I just got to get the one from the Smithsonian.
With the name Billy Ape, sound like somebody from South Carolina or Mississippi must have named it.
Billy Bob Ape.
In Mississippi, there's a Bubba Apes.
You're in the corner and you're like, oh my God, look at that ape. And it turns and looks at you with a banjo in hand, just ding, 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 ding.
They'd be the Hey Bubba Apes.
I was watching a documentary on, they had wild orangutans that were watching these guys fish with the spear. And maybe a couple of weeks, maybe months later, they videotape these orangutans fishing with spears because they mimicked what they seen a human do by spearing a fish with it. And there's actually video I watched on YouTube. I was like, oh my God, they're actually fishing with spears now in certain parts. It was like, it was crazy that they're mimicking stuff.
Yeah.
Well, just look at orca populations. Look how different orca populations hunt all over the, like in where they hunt seals that they're on the ice floes. They use the bow wave.
Yeah, for I've seen.
Yeah, in New Zealand, they beach themselves to grab seals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have to look any further than the natural world to get answers for some of these things that we're talking about, because it's all this different behavior from the same type of animal over wherever it lives is already been documented and proven. So why is it so hard for people to grasp that it could be the same for this?
Because you're going to have haters out there that don't want to believe it. That's the whole thing.
Well, and I mean,
I was one of them. No, I was one of them. You all know that. I used to laugh at everyone. I'd be like, yeah, you're full of shit. You're crazy. You're smoking weed. You're on crack. Let me tell you, man, that whole experience changed me. Changed my. I mean, the whole way I look, even when I'm out there hunting.
It's a paradigm shift.
Because it was like, what is that? That shouldn't be out there. That shouldn't exist. And then out of nowhere, there it is, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
Billy,
man.
Joe, Bobby.
You gotta keep in mind,
Yeah.
man, like there's also all these like museums and these research groups that like have to cover their own asses too.
Mhm.
So I mean, like, while it's not like technically propaganda, they are still kind of propagandizing the idea that there isn't a North American ape, or the Bubba ape didn't exist.
Well, how many times did they find
The Hey
bones
Bubba,
bones that were from giants?
Right, yeah, and it's
Right.
like they said that Missouri didn't have mountain lions for a long time, and we definitely do.
Yeah,
Had 'em for as long as I can remember.
right. So
Yeah.
I mean, where did all the big bones from those giants that they dug up?
I had a theory that I was
It was
discussing with
studied
Dad
by
in the
top people.
I had a theory in the car with Dad earlier.
What?
But Dad, do you want to bring in my theory about where the
Go
bones
ahead,
went?
dude.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So my theory is historically the Vatican has made certain documents from other religions disappear,
I agree.
be it by force or by subterfuge, right?
Right.
So I wonder if the Smithsonian that came to pick up the bones wasn't the Smithsonian, and it was the Vatican trying to bury it.
I could tell you from, not getting in too deep. Everybody knows that, but I'm sure you guys do. The Vatican is they're their own government.
Oh yeah.
They're their own entity. They don't answer to no one. They're their own superpower.
It's one of the few theocratic states left in the world.
It is true, because if you can, it's hard to explain. I don't think it's for the show, but I mean, I'll just look at the mob.
Mm-hmm.
The mob it's so close to the Vatican. Organized crime, the Italian organized crime. It's ridiculous, and I'm not going to get into it. I have firsthand knowledge of that from my family and everything else, but it's crazy what they can do, and how they could change the outcome of certain things in America.
Easy, Tony. Don't threaten you, Witsec.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and there's theories of old religious documents, not necessarily Christian religious documents, but I mean we're talking like religious documents the world hasn't seen since before written history, really.
Well, it's the same thing. Think about what we talked about. If they're not going to come out and say these creatures are real, because that would change. Yeah. It would change evolution as we know it.
It changes everything.
Right. Exactly.
It's a complete dynamic shift, because then it's like okay, we have these bipeds that are intelligent, that are clearly showing signs of avoiding humans, and they can, and there's unconfirmed reports of whether or not they can breed with humans.
Right.
So in a situation like that, these governments and these organizations that have been founded on the belief that humans are reigning superior and that we are alone as the intelligent species on the planet, they have to cover their ass,
right?
Because if something got out, oh, we're not the only intelligent species on Earth, then suddenly, the whole dynamic shifts.
No, it's just like the exorcism. They're not going to admit. There is a branch of the Vatican that does only exorcisms, and they don't admit to it.
Well, there's a branch of practically every religion that does exorcisms. I'm
not getting off subject, but they won't admit to it, because that is something that is like taboo. They won't do it. So
to admit the existence of an exorcist is to admit the existence of a demon, and they don't want to cause that much hysteria. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Just like a big, hairy 9-foot beast walking around in the woods.
Right.
Same thing.
William Nighthawk said, "Heck, guys, I just had to go outside and check the house because I saw something dark looking in a window." William, what was out there? Let us know. And we also had a video sent to us from somebody in chat. I can't remember the name.
Christine sent it to you.
Yeah, Christine sent it to me. So I've got that ready. You guys want to see this?
Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead.
It's kind of interesting. Let me share the screen. Kind of give you an idea of the. I'm going to start the video, but the broom is in there for scale.
Oh, I thought we were watching a witch. Holy shit.
Oh my God.
Those are some strides, man.
It looks like maybe a hop pattern, not a footprint pattern.
Well, that'd be a hell of a hop.
Yeah, that's a stride.
That's way too far for a rabbit.
What I'm saying, well, I don't think it's a rabbit by any stretch of the means, but what I'm saying is it looks, because it's solitary. It's a single step, right? It's there's no other footprint.
Well, a lot of Bigfoot trackways have been described as being
front to front.
tracks in single file.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't stagger side to side.
Well, look at how the print is at the front. Then look at how it's laid out. It's clearly like one-sided, like it's lopsided. Like, look at that one right there.
I wish they could get a top view of that print instead of a side view.
Like
this is the only video I've got, guys.
It's clearly got some sort of
pretty interesting.
Left side favoring in that first print right there.
No,
so I don't know
what that is, Noah. And if you look right now where it comes back right there to those two trees, you see how they're a little bit closer together. That's where it started. It started at a walk and then kind of started to run. That's why the stride stretches out a little bit further. Because see, those two prints are a lot closer together, and so were those two. So
I see it.
It started running, and that was because your stride's going to stretch out when you run.
Right.
The pitch is going to change. The straddle will change. Every dynamic of a track is going to change from a walk to a run. And that's just what you're seeing is it started out as a walk and then that come into a run. And I guarantee you the next few prints are spaced out like that. Because that looks more like an open area, and it does most of the time they're not going to want to stay in an open area long. So it got out of there quick. That's
slowed down when it got to the trees.
Or it might have heard somebody coming or something.
Could be.
Yeah.
When I initially
saw
the broom, I thought maybe Northwoods X was involved. Not sure what
Northwoods said when I saw the broom, I thought maybe my ex had crash landed.
Oh, you beat me to it. Oh, damn. I didn't even see the chat.
That's funny. That's an interesting video.
Well, I mean, the video that we watched that we're not going to talk about that one that I showed you guys. That thing was, you could see the stride.
Yep.
That thing was taken from the top.
We've got to get permission to show that video.
I know.
That is such a good video.
Walking,
but
you could see that. I don't think, did Noah
about.
see it? Did Noah see the video?
I don't think so.
I'll send it.
No, I haven't shown it to him.
Okay.
You're on my chat.
Think back to that video, though, Anthony. Think back to that video. It was walking, and all of a sudden it started running.
Ran.
So
that's
what I'm saying.
It changed the pattern of his walk. You could see it nowhere in the video. What Robbie's talking about, I'll send it to you when we go off the air tonight. In fact, I'll send it to you now.
Think about that what we were talking about earlier about that glide pattern, the way they walk. If you think about that, no, that's going to bring those tracks instead of running like this when they're gliding. It's going to bring those tracks more in line with each other.
And that's that's when we do a building clearing. We're not walking with a normal stride. It's more of a heel to toe kind of thing.
Other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I didn't think about it like that.
Well, that makes a lot more sense to me.
And in your defense, Noah, you're not going to think about it. Normal people that don't go through all that extensive stuff looking at tracks, you're not going to think about it like that. You're going to see what your eyes show you is exactly what you explained and what you described. Mm-hmm. But once you know a little bit more about the nuances of a track and how things move and looking at the pitch and the pressure releases and all that stuff, you can start seeing and break it. Because that was one of the exercises we had to do is one group would go and they would act out a scene. We wouldn't see what it was, and we would have to go up and look at that track path and just looking at the photograph, or just looking at the tracks, we would have to sit there and come up with, okay, what happened here? You know, we would have to try to piece together what happened in that square with all these tracks. We had to kind of figure out what was going on. So once you start learning how tracks are laid down, basically, you can start picking out what the animal or the person or whatever your target is. You can start picking out what was going on and what they were doing.
Right.
Night Hawk's right. The art of walking without walking.
Yep. And William he'll back me up on that. Getting into tracking is not, a lot of people think it's just looking at, oh, there's footprints and following where they go. That is the bare minimum of tracking, is seeing the footprints and seeing the direction. Everything else is just like miles deep of what you can get into looking
and
at
not even looking from the tracking side, looking at it from the person who's making the tracks. You're going to make far different types of tracks when you're just walking along than you were when you say you're hunting something. When you're trying to be quiet.
Yep.
I guess the one that she sent you the video, Christian?
Yeah.
She says 2 years prior I had night bangs
Night house bangs that shook the whole house. Something was smacking the side of the house.
Okay.
And that's not uncommon. Were you alone at the time? That's the weird thing, because a lot of people that report something smacking the side of the house, it's usually a female reporting it after her husband's left, or if they live alone. Very rarely have those house smacks been reported when the husband was at home.
Yeah, that's true, because that one incident here, in Florida too, that it's, and some reason with autistic kids or people that are autistic or mentally challenged.
It's we see that a lot in the missing 411 cases, but look at a pack of wolves going after a herd of buffalo. They're going to go after the easiest one to catch.
The weakest one.
They're going to single out the easiest one to catch.
She said her son was here and experienced it too.
Was he young at the time? Because they generally don't do it when there are adult males around. I'm not saying always. I'm just saying in most of the accounts that I've heard of people getting their house smacked on, not all, most accounts that I've talked to people, it was a woman. They were alone or with her kids, but the adult male was usually gone. There's been a couple of times where it's happened when the male was there, and they'd of course grab a gun and go look. But most cases it was a woman. There was in case one up in Oregon. I can't remember the woman's name, but she lived alone. She retired from the I believe she retired from the Air Force, and she bought this cabin up in the mountains, and that's where she planned to live out the rest of her days. She was, I think, in her 40s, and retired after 25 in the Air Force, and she kept having this thing smacking the side of her house. Well, I guess it was expecting her to react more like most people would react in fear. But she figured out which side of the house that it routinely hit. And one night it hit the side of the house, and she flipped on the motion lights. And when she saw the thing running across the yard, she emptied a magazine at it from an AR, and it stopped. She didn't have any more things beating on the side of her house.
Well, I mean,
comment that I just put up, she had the same thing. She called the sheriff's department.
And I can say from when I was a patrol officer, sometimes we would get prowler reports, and go to check some of these houses out on the edge of town or outside of town, and a lot of times it was a woman home alone or lived alone, but they act way more shook up than just saying, "I thought I saw somebody walk," like they weren't quite telling you everything that happened. I've had a couple of those where it was really, really odd, where you'd get out there and she's like, "I just think I saw someone outside the window," and she didn't want to say anything more than that. And you'd walk around the house and just have this weird feeling you're being watched the whole time.
Yeah.
Nighthawk is going to bed. Good night, William.
William, have a good night, man. Thank you again, dude, for the hat band and for the medicine bag and for the earrings that your wife made for my wife. Thank you so much for those, man. I absolutely love them.
She said her son was 35 years old, I guess, at the time when it happened.
Oh, well, that's one of those unusual cases. I mean, I'm not saying it's that invalidates it in any way. It's just one of those that's unusual, because the bulk of those cases seems to be when a woman's home alone. But like I said, I had had heard of a few where the man was there as well. Like in Miss Naoma's case, she was saying that whenever her husband would be on the road traveling, that's when she would hear something hit the back of the house. Another friend of mine who's a writer, she lives down near Texarkana, which if you guys know where Texarkana is at, it's just basically a rock throw from Fouke, Arkansas. She would have things when her husband worked overnights would come up and smack on the back of the house. So it was usually when they were alone, but not always. So really, really pretty bizarre. So, and I take these very seriously because to me, it seems almost like they're trying to draw people out of the house.
Well, it's like the same thing Fred said with the baby cries.
Mm-hmm.
I was crying like a baby. I mean, how many times have they done that with women?
Yeah, I was about to say there's been tons of stories about people hearing children and babies and women cry or screaming in the woods, and I think it's what, like DA said, is trying to lure them out into the woods.
They're gonna go and look. Me and Robbie would be like, "Hey, shut that kid up!" We'd be like,
"Right,
shut up out there."
Just close the door and go back inside and watch TV. We'd be like, "Shut that kid up," like Robbie said, and be done with it.
Hey, boys, I don't know what everybody's got in their glass tonight, but I wanted to take a minute to lift a glass and ask everybody to remember some folks in their prayers. Folks, remember William Nighthawk. His health is really bad, and he just had a death in the family on top of that. So guys, you say if you're a prayerful person, please say a prayer for William Nighthawk. Keep Miss Lene, who's one of our mods, keep her in your prayers. She's still dealing with health issues, and now one of her dogs is not doing well. So keep her in your prayers. Pat Canada or Pat Murphy, you see her in the chat in both ways. She's dealing with some pretty serious health issues. I think she's still in the hospital, if I remember correctly. But there's a number of folks that are in and out of the chat that could use a kind word and a prayerful thought in their direction. So for all of those in unspoken ones that everybody out there knows who you are. Just keep each other in your prayers because we're entering some really weird times in history. We've got a lot of crazy crap going on right now. And as divided as this world is, we need to remember that we stand alone against what's out there in the darkness. So, Slanjama.
Oh yeah, I got my Canada Dry.
Canada Dry. Well, Noah and I are trying a new whiskey that I just discovered. It's an Irish whiskey bottled here in Missouri, Kansas City. It's called Sons of Aaron. So I'm getting ready to try this for the first time.
Slanja, everybody.
What is it, Robbie? What are you drinking?
Mountain Dew.
Okay, that's usually what I'm drinking. I know. Steve's drinking Diet Coke.
It was a Diet Coke just now, but earlier I was drinking a Scotch, and I
Doc's not drinking. What are you drinking, Doc?
Colorado Kool-Aid.
Oh, okay. Ready.
That is very smooth. Holy crap!
Yeah, that is super smooth.
Well, I can tell you what. John bought a bottle of what the hell was? Oh, he bought Black Label Jim Beam.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. That stuff was so smooth it was ridiculous. I mean, it was a bottle like that. Me and him polished it off in a week. Not even.
I love it.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with tea, Tomb. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Well, I figured I had to drink some of Daniel Clark's favorite blend, but I figured he'd approve of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Tomb's having a cuppa. A cuppa.
Raven says
I slammed back mine, and then I'm on the whiskey now.
It's not Sons of Aaron like that. It's Sons of Aaron like Ireland.
Oh,
like Aaron Goodbra.
Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron Goodbra.
I dated a girl named Aaron like that with the same spelling.
Kenny Van has asked to see my co-host here.
Hey,
this is Kenai. He
master of all he surveys.
He loves any kind of what do you call it? I'm drawing a complete blank. The the online meetings, the virtual meetings, Zoom.
Oh, Zoom calls.
He loves Zoom calls, and he doesn't realize this isn't a Zoom call, but he wants to be involved. So yeah, he was
He's
my
master
leg
of all
meeting.
he surveys and thief of whoopies.
This is exactly true. I lost my whoopee to him. Yes, little turd. Okay. He's
Wendy Guizdala says, "Sorry if it's
What?
okay." Says, "Do they still show interest in females that are fixed?" I don't know that I've ever seen any kind of data on that, but they do seem to show interest in human women. I don't think it matters so much if it's a pheromonal thing. I think it's more of a territorial thing. But I could be wrong. This is complete speculation on my part because we don't know. But they do seem to be, especially if women live alone, they seem to take an interest. So I don't know if it's purely a desire for mating, or if it's more of a, it's a female in my territory, therefore she's mine kind of thing. So it's hard to say for sure, but I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't say no, it's not going to pay you any attention if you've had a hysterectomy or something like that. David By says, "DA, what's Clark's drink again?" Steve, what are you drinking?
It's a Dalmore single malt.
There you go. Dalmore 12.
Dalmore 12. What I was drinking is actually
sorry, that was
new one that I just found.
I answered.
It's a sherry cask version.
I want to try that.
And it's
CSM Hammond is the Dalmore guy, and he kind of ruined Clark.
Yeah. Now,
but Clark's a Guinness guy though.
Now the Bushmills is.
I said that that was Wiley's.
Yeah, Wiley likes Bushmills, and Bushmills is also kind of a popular drink over at Steve's Pub and Grub too.
Definitely.
But didn't Clark have Bushmills in one of the Lakeview Man?
Oh yeah. He's an Irish guy, but he has developed a taste for Command Sergeant Major Dalmore.
Why am I not seeing that?
Raymond Roulette says, "Sons of Aaron Irish." Yeah, I was wondering if the Jewish were making whiskey. Hey, Mazel Tov, Werewolf says, "Try some Patty Irish whiskey. Good stuff."
The 13th plague was whiskey.
Mary Stoughton says, "I have a question. If a Sasquatch is doing some of the 411 disappearances, who is it that's folding up the clothes so nicely?" See, the thing about the missing 411 cases is I don't think it's describing any one thing that's making these people disappear. Some of them could be just plain good old-fashioned psychopaths. Yeah, some of them could be cases that they were taken by a cryptid. Some could have been taken by aliens. The thing about it is the missing 411s have to meet a certain criteria. So there are thousands of other missing people that have vanished in the national parks that didn't even get included in the missing 411 data because they didn't meet those criteria. But I don't really think there's one simple answer of what's taking those people in the missing 411. I think it's more than one thing.
Yeah, I think with a pattern that expansive, with a pattern as big as missing 411, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be some overlap in situations in which they have attributed something to it, and yet it's not that. You know what I mean? But there's also no telling if the missing 411 is specifically one creature, neither, because it could be a cave dwelling squatch, it could be a Wendigo, it could we don't know.
A dog man.
It could be a dog man. We don't know what it is, right? The whole point of the missing 411 is to point out that there is a pattern. There's something doing this. So I mean, like, I don't really think that it's just Sasquatch in that sense, but I do think that there is definitely something that should be made aware of. You know what I mean?
Hey, folks, I
Yep.
think this is a great moment for us to be able to take a quick breather and top off glasses and, answer the call of nature. Doc, why don't you do me a favor and tell us a little bit about Dark Angel Medical while I run across the hallway, so to speak. Let me put up the line. I'll be right back, folks.
All right. So a lot of y'all may have, if y'all hadn't read DA's books, you should. If you have read them, you'll probably see them talking about Dark Angel medical kits in their in different medical scenarios that you'll see in the books. And those are kits that I design and we make here in Colorado at our little shop. And if you head over to darkangelmedical.com and use the coupon code Cryptid25, you will get 25% off of your order. And in addition to that, we offer a kit for life guarantee. Basically, if you use your kit or to save your life or someone else's, we will replace what you have used 100% absolutely free. And we have to date now, we're at 164 saves to replace those kits and those kit components. We also offer training around the United States. Think of it kind of like an EMT basic course in 2 days. So check it out on the calendar, on our training calendar. We have a lot of classes all over the U.S. this year, and would love to see you there. If you can't make that, we also have just launched an online training program as well. So carry a kit because the life you save may be your own. And 911, if you're out in the woods, 911 is not always going to be right there. And so you are your own first responder. So head over to darkangelmedical.com and check us out.
And I can definitely attest for the quality of them because Dad carried them while he was on duty, pretty much his entire time, or at least as much as I can remember. And anytime me and the guys go to the range, we take one with us too. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Those suckers are definitely handy to have on hand.
Absolutely.
I wear on my vest every day I'm at work too.
We fortunately haven't had to use it on the range, I can tell you that. But that's because whenever we're out there, I'm like, yeah. You suckers keep those down, keep those pointed that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, David Bye, thank you, man. David was in my Wichita, Kansas class a few months back, and it was a pleasure to meet him, get to talk with him. But yeah, we pride ourselves on putting out good quality kits. They're not the least expensive out there, but they're not the most expensive. But you definitely get what you pay for, and you buy once, cry once, because if you ever have to use it, we will get you squared away. And just got, like I said, we're at 164 now. Just got an email from one of my former students in Arizona last night that had used it, and a gentleman who had fallen off of a ladder and degloved his entire lower leg. Now, if you don't know what degloving is, think of basically skinning your whole lower leg. And the guy was on blood thinners and had ripped through a couple of arteries as well. So he ended up and he would have bled out because he heard the guy's wife screaming, and he was just about to get on a podcast himself. And he ran out there and had his kit in his hand and applied a tourniquet. And the tourniquet was on, 6-7 minutes before EMS ever showed up on scene. And that guy
bled out in that time.
I got mine in. I guess, is it in the truck? It's probably on my vest.
I almost choked on my scotch there.
Makes me cringe just thinking about it. Oh,
yeah.
John has his on. John has his in his truck too.
Horrible injury to see. So.
While we were on break, I grabbed this for the benefit of those who are fans of CSM Hammond.
That's a real pretty color.
That is the Dalmore.
Yeah, beautiful. I've been to their distillery, Steve. Good stuff.
I want to go.
Me, you, and Dad take guys trip.
How did we get on the Dalmore, DA? I remember we were trying them together in the early stages of the books.
Me and Robbie at Chop Liver. What's going on?
I'd read about the Dalmore quite a few times.
Yeah.
I read about the Dalmore quite a few times, and I'd been wanting to try it. And you and I were, when I was still working at the hospital, I was telling you that one of these days I was going to try the Dalmore 12 because I'd read so much about it. And you surprised me for my 50th birthday with a bottle of it.
That's right, because we opened that up on the air, so to speak. We
Yeah.
Yep,
What is
that's-
that? A stag? Is that a stag head on the bottle? Is
Yes,
that
a
what that
stag
is?
head.
I believe it is.
It is. It's a stag head.
It's a-
Yeah, and
better look
David,
at the bottle.
it is a single malt: barley, water,
Yep.
and yeast.
And
That's it.
it's a Highland Scotch. It is very smooth.
Is it burn? Is it burn? Is it burn one or no?
Not really. No. It's really quite
No,
smooth. This
it's
one is
very
aged in a
smooth.
sherry cask, so it's even smoother. Yeah, it doesn't burn at all. Highland Scotches typically are pretty smooth. Now, there's a
Right.
few that you'll get that'll put some hair in your teeth.
Steve Patton just said, "Looks like I can't afford it."
Honestly, this is about $65 a bottle. It's not.
That's not too bad. That's
Worth
about what
everything.
that's about what I pay for Brook Laddie. So I may have to grab that one of these days.
And,
I have some bottles that are $300 and $400, but this one's this is everyday drink.
Well, while we're on the subject of our affiliates, and folks, remember, go over to darkangelmedical.com or use the tiny URL that's popped up in chat and use discount code Cryptid25 for 25% off your order. While we're on the subject of our affiliates, this would be a good time to talk about Scallywag, and you guys have heard me talk about it about 1 billion times. I'm going to let Robbie talk to you guys about Scallywag Tactical because he's as big a fan of them as I am. And Robbie, take it away.
Scallywag Tactical is a veteran-owned company. Craig Burhart, is that his name?
Yeah, Craig Burhart.
Makes fantastic knives. This is my Christmas present from the pit bull himself over there. This is the Dew Claw. If you like this, you better get on it quick because they're about to discontinue it. But these are fantastic knives. My daughter has the Jolly Roger, I believe, that she carries every day. She just moved out, and I went to her house today, was looking around, and I looked in her pocket, and she had her Jolly Roger
really?
in her pocket. Yep, she sure did. She loves that knife.
Cool.
And I carry the Orca every day as part of my duty gear. I used to carry a Kershaw, which is,
Me too.
pretty high dollar. I mean, it's probably
About
one of your
160.
higher line,
Yeah.
higher mid-grade knives. I mean, it's a good knife, and that the Orca has replaced my Kershaw. My Kershaw now sits on my nightstand. It's just my little if I need a knife that within close reach. But what I carry every day on my uniform is my Scallywag Tactical Orca. Great group.
Up inside Dad with a machete in hand.
I know.
And
Got that big.
that was
what is it, the bounty.
That was the
bounty
Gunner's
thing?
Mate or the Bounty? Which
Gunner's
one?
Mate?
That was the bounty.
Okay, the Bounty, and there's also the Gunner's Mate if you want the bigger fixed blade knives. I think every one of us here has got one. I think Steve, you got some of the folders, right?
Yep, I've got the private
Anthony's
here,
got some
the Jolly
folders.
Roger.
Dot's got a couple of the
I got a
folders.
bunch of them. I bought.
Every one of us have at least two. And DA's got more than two. There's the Gunner's
Hey,
Mate,
don't
DA's
say
got-
every one of us. You speaking French out here saying we are?
Was that the mini
I
jack?
don't have
there,
any. I don't have any Scallywag stuff.
This
Well,
one.
I said
Get you
most
one
every
going.
one of us.
I want to
Yeah,
get
but
that. I want to get that
that-
straight razor because I've been wanting to
and-
shave with a straight razor for a while.
DA likes me to do the little demonstration. This is, I haven't put anything, any kind of stone or anything. This is straight out of the box where it came to me.
Hold that paper up, Robbie.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
my
think
Lord.
it's sharp. The DA got me this last year as a gift, and I haven't touched this thing on a stone. And I cut everything with it, and I cut myself down to the bone last week by accident. And I was like, "This, it still holds an edge like you wouldn't believe."
I'm
It's-
just glad
it's
the show got
nuts.
enough subscribers that Robbie could finally afford a second piece of paper.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's
I know.
for so long.
Yeah, that's a different one, Steve. I mean, it's amazing how much the show has grown. I can afford paper now.
No, I saw Doc flip up a little dive. Was that the mini jack you had there, Doc?
Yeah,
Yep, that's my everyday carry. You
it's
know,
a great little
work in a
everyday
hospital,
carry
so
blade.
I don't need
Here
quite
it
the
is,
blade
one.
that you all do.
So
Here's a good one for around your neck.
So, folks,
Just
you head on over to Scallywag Tactical. Like I said, they're our affiliate. Use the code that's up on the screen, DA Roberts 10. Get you 10% off. You can also really clean up if they've got the blemish blade thing going on at the time. And when they say blemish, don't let that fool you.
They're
This
not.
was a blemish blade, but what was wrong
Yeah.
with it was the box.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with this blade. And you talk, it's a full tang. You can see, and the tang. This is a hefty blade. I can show you on the Gunner's Mate
All
and
the
the
ones the one I got you and your daughter, and the ones I bought John for Christmas were all blems. Even the ones I bought for myself.
You can take you can get the discounted price for the blemish blades, and you can apply that discount code on top of that for even more savings. These are American made by veteran-owned company, just like Doc's company is, which we all wholeheartedly, from the bottom of our hearts, support. And like I said, I used to carry a Kershaw, and my Kershaw is just sitting on my nightstand now.
Let's put it like this: the one that DA just showed, DA, what's the price of that? If it was
the Gunner's Mate
top, we don't get a kickback. Nobody gets kickbacks from the company off of this. How much was that?
This one, I want to say $335.
Okay, I bought the same one that he has. It was a blem, and the discount, and on sale, and I got it for $99 during Christmas. It's crazy.
If you, and they don't have, it's not just the tactical knives like we're showing right here. DA's actually got a set of kitchen knives that somebody got for him.
Did you ever find out who sent you the kitchen knives?
No.
You sure it wasn't him?
He won't tell me.
You sure it wasn't? It was probably him that did it.
No, he said it was a female that was a fan of my books in the show and wanted to remain anonymous. And probably I was like, Craig, who the hell sent this? Because I want to thank him. He's like,
I could think of two people, probably Miss Lene, and who else is the other one? Miss Lene and oh God, who's the other one that's on the channel that helps out DA? Miss Lene, and who else?
Meg.
Yeah, I think it's either one of those that did it.
Maybe. Well, whoever it is, I'm eternally grateful. Those knives are incredible. They're the best kitchen knives I've ever had, and Noah has already laid claim that when I go, those are his.
Hey, I never said that. He just inferred that. I mean, it's true, but
DA, have you seen the new set they got with that blue?
Yeah,
I have one of those. I want the rest.
Woo! You talk about pretty. That is a
those
pretty set
beautiful.
of knives.
Yeah, I have the slicer, the one with the really curved blade.
Mm-hmm.
Those blue handled ones are nice. That's a separate set. It's a smaller set. The set I got sent is what, 14 pieces, Noah?
Something
plus
like
the block.
That. 14, yeah.
I think it's 14 knives plus the block.
I'm on their website right now. Yeah, it's 14 different knives plus the block.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was amazing.
If y'all hadn't picked up on it, we all are crazy about this company and the knives they make. They make good quality knives. I've been a knife freak my entire life. I love knives as much as I love guns, which is saying something. And these are some of the best knives I've ever had in my entire life. I mean,
me too.
Hands down, some of the best.
There's a reason I chose them for my books.
Yep.
And we're not.
I'm happy as hell to represent both Scallywag Tactical and Dark Angel Medical with my books.
Yeah, I wouldn't carry.
I believe in their products to the point where I put a link to both companies at the back of every book now, and I did that because I wanted to, not because they asked me to.
What kind of steel Pork Beans wants to know? I'll be honest.
Different with each one. Some of them are D2. The Gunner's Mate's D2 tool steel.
It's a high carbon steel. I know that.
Yeah, it's high carbon steel.
I've seen 5150 listed. I think I've seen 52C.
This one's 420 stainless.
The kitchen knives are 67 layer VG10.
Yeah,
67 layers. Holy
67 layer Damascus.
Yeah, like this one.
Yeah, they're beautiful blades.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
This one is 420 stainless, but for some reason, and everybody will say it, stainless doesn't keep an edge. You always have to sharpen it.
Depends.
I think this has some carbon. I think it's carbon on the edge because I've cut some crazy shit I've cut some crazy shit with this that would dull a regular knife, and this thing is razor sharp still. It's nuts.
I've been
And I'm
really
not
pleased
just-
with mine. You know, my little mini jack doesn't get anything much worse than a FedEx box, but,
Yeah, but you think about it,
it's
Steve.
had a lot of FedEx boxes.
Yeah, but you're cutting cardboard. Cardboard will dull a knife like that. Okay.
Just about faster
I've
than
done it-
anything else.
Right.
I mean,
and
hell,
done it
I've got a knife on my desk somewhere from back when I worked warehouse, man. And I tell you, Dad and I used to have to sharpen that sucker probably
Mhm.
once every couple of weeks, just because I was constantly cutting through boxes and taking crap off, because I worked in furniture, man.
Right.
Like I was
Well, even
constantly taking boxes
paper.
off of crap and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So like
even-
that knife dulled quick.
yeah,
that
even
card-
Richard
paper
says, I
will
think
not-
the Orca is 440. It's the Orca is 420.
Yep.
420 stainless.
Yeah, it's a carbon. It's a high carbon steel mixed in with it. It's got to be.
It-
because
I would say
it'll
it's
dull.
they probably did the what do you call edge banding, I think, where
Mhm.
where you basically inlay a piece of high carbon into the stainless steel and forge weld it.
Like they do
That
with
way you're-
Japanese swords.
Yeah, that way your edge is a high carbon, like
High
maybe
carbon.
a D2 or a 5150 or some of that new stuff or whatever, and then the rest of the blade is probably the stainless.
Well, I know I'm happy with every one of them I've got, and they're
Mhm.
just fantastic blades.
No, I am too. I'm shocked. Yeah, there you go. That's the one I wanted to get for all of us. I was gonna. They were out of that, Doc. They were so out of that.
Yeah,
It was
I finally got
ridiculous.
one.
That's a cool little dagger.
That's made out
Yeah.
of D2 steel too, isn't it, Doc?
It is.
Yeah.
And I've also got the aluminum one is for the trainer, I think, is made out of aluminum, but they've also got a Damascus version of that too. Have you seen
Nice.
that one, Doc?
Yeah, those things are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of their blades I've ever used have been really, really good. Dad has an assortment of them. Every once in a while, it's like, oh, hey, I need to get something open. Hey, Dad, can I borrow a knife? And then he's just like, here you go. And it's like, okay, sweet. Or cooking in the kitchen, man. Like, I do a lot of the cooking around the house. So I mean, like, we'll just go in there and I'll pull a knife out of that set, and it just glides through everything.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted with the handle on it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna get that. They were sold out of it, and did he discontinue those, Robbie?
I
or
don't
no?
think so. I think they just haven't had them in a while.
I just saw them on their website.
Yeah, those are like $200.
Yeah, the Damascus
This
one,
This one's called the
D2.
Spindrift, and it's just an awesome little knife.
That's the one I got John. John has that one. I got him that for Christmas. He has that. I got the brother to that one. It looks like a Bowie knife almost. Curved
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, the Damascus version of that is regular 225. I'm not seeing the regular version yet, but it's very nice. I can tell you that.
They're
Well,
nice.
those kitchen knives are just unbelievable.
Oh,
I'm
tell
making
believe me, we
potatoes
don't-
with them the other day, and it was just like,
No one gets a kickback from this company, people. Trust no one. We don't get money. We don't get nothing from them. We pay the
Dad,
same price you pay.
Dad,
We just love their.
tell them about when you were cutting peppers and the hitching when you were cutting peppers.
oh, I was cutting bell peppers, sweet bell peppers. We were making, I think we were making,
I think they're
we were
making sloppy
pasta
joes
sauce.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
sloppy joes. Well, I was cutting up sweet bell peppers, and I noticed when I would run these down, this knife down through it when I was cutting them open. There would be a little bit of a hitch, like they just go tink right before they hit the cut board.
Yeah.
It like just like a little bit of a tink, and I got to looking, and what it was doing is it was cutting the seeds in half.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't the
Almost
seeds weren't getting pushed out of the way; it was just cutting them.
Just almost effortlessly, just going through them.
Yeah, just like tink. Like, what's it doing? And I started looking at both sides of the blade, and there were, halves of seeds on both sides of the blade. I'm like, this thing's cutting the freaking seeds in half without any effort. Well, we probably should get back on track somewhat here. Wendy
maybe.
Guzdala had a great question. She says, I have another question. In the rare cases, if a Bigfoot helps a human, I've noticed that it's the females. Do you know of males doing it also? I've heard of stories of loggers who've been trapped by logs, having a Bigfoot lift a log off of them. But I don't remember ever hearing whether they said it was a male or a female. So I would say in some of those cases, it's probably both. In the case of the little kid that went missing in North Carolina and said that a bear took care of him, without knowing what a 3-year-old would describe as a bear,
Right.
it's impossible to say whether that was male or female. But I definitely think he was taken care of by a Bigfoot because, one, it was in February and bears are in hibernation, and 2, bears don't take care of little children. They would eat them.
They see them as a nice snack.
Yeah, especially in the dead of winter when hunting is not so easy.
I say that little kid would be Grubhub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meals on wheels, baby. Came right to us.
So I don't know how to answer that one. In some of the cases, yeah, I would say it is female, but it's hard to say. I'd say Bigfoot creatures are very much like humans. You're going to find they're going to run the gamut in personality types, and it's kind of like cases with grizzly bears. You're going to have cases where people come nose to nose with grizzly bear. I know I did in Rocky Mountain National, and it looked at me and I looked at it, and we went our separate ways. Granted, I nearly had to go change my shorts, but it went its way and I went mine. But had that been right after it was just woken up from hibernation and was getting ready to go in, I might have been a missing 411. I mean, it would have ended completely different. Or if I'd have walked between it and a cub, I would have been mauled to death. But it had places to be, and I had places to be, and it wasn't that hungry. So, fat guy wasn't on the menu that day.
Thank God.
And I'm gonna draw another correlation between apes and Bigfoot here. In a lot of cases, you'll hear about children who end up wandering off, or they end up in the presence of an ape, right? And instead of the ape tearing their arms off and beating them to death with them, a lot of the time it's like, I've heard of instances where they offer the child berries, or they make sure that nothing that is going to hurt the child get close to the child and protect them until somebody comes to recover them.
Prime
and then
example, that one in the zoo that protected that baby, that child.
R.I.P. Harambe. Rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, so
Northwood says the dog man would have a personality more like my ex.
Dog man would have a personality more like my ex.
Shy Dorsai says Grizz looked at DA and said, "Nah, I'm not that hungry." Well, this guy looks like you got a lot of gristle in him. I ain't eating that.
He's like, I'm only a bit peckish. That's like a whole meal. Nah, he can live. He can go.
Bear walked up expecting sirloin and got brisket.
I'm looking for something more in the 4'11" department. You have a nice day, sir. You take care. I'll see you when winter comes around.
Come see me in September. What's that?
I said, Doc just Noah said he's looking for in the 411 apartment. I said, Doc just barely missed that one.
See his Doc. It's like, yeah, good enough.
This month.
Doc, in order to make himself bigger than a bear, has to hop on someone's shoulders and start throwing his hands up.
No, Doc will just give it a bowl of Lucky Charms and be on his way.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. He'll click his heels together, say there's no place like home.
Okay. All right. They're usually picking on me, but now they're picking on you, Doc. So
that's okay. I'm the medic, so
right.
The medic's always the tallest dude whenever somebody's on their back.
Right.
It's like pissing off the party cleric, man. He said, now you want help, huh?
Use your Lucky Charms, you bastard. Here, take this.
You know why you kick a man when he's down, right, Doc?
Safest way.
Because you ain't got to lift your leg as far.
That's
Oh,
correct.
God.
Well, the thing is if I wasn't giving Doc crap, he'd think I was mad at him.
That's right.
It's kind of how family works out.
That's right.
We scare because we care.
Chris, made a good
There's
point.
not many people in the world that would not many people in the world outside of this group here that could get a text from me at 3:00 in the morning saying, "Hey fucker, are you awake?" and would totally get the reference.
100%, brother.
Man, I just get
and not be offended by it.
No,
I just get the 3 a.m. text of, "Hey, what do you want to cook?" And I'm like,
Let's make something to eat. I'm hungry.
See, I'm noticing a pattern here.
That's right.
Well, we are on 2 hours and 4 minutes. Halo.
Yeah.
Damn.
We are cooking right along. But well, I think we've pretty much really covered everything we wanted to cover. I mean, I think we're kind of all in agreement that Tsul Kalu is some type of Bigfoot. Even if they have ascribed supernatural abilities to it, I still think it's a type of Bigfoot.
And I think that extends to the Kandahar giants as well.
Quite possibly.
I think we're talking about not necessarily the same exact creature, but maybe possibly like a different breed, you know, in the same sense that, you know, border collies and English mastiffs are the same species of animal, but they're different, you know?
Yeah.
I think it may just be a difference in region or a difference in like partial lineage, you know? I think there's a lot of similarities between them.
Lenita Bryant says, some animal is living in my chimney. Any guesses to what it could be? Square hole, 3 feet up. Probably a squirrel.
Yeah.
Squirrel, bat,
Squirrel.
Raccoon.
Squirrel,
Yeah.
bird, bat,
Squirrel,
raccoon.
bird.
Depending on how big the hole is, could be a raccoon. More than likely a squirrel.
Squirrels are notorious for that.
So you said it's in your chimney. The secret is you reach in and you just fire a round up out your chimney.
Preferably a dragon's breath round.
Or set a fire.
I was just gonna say like a 410 shotgun shell. Not gonna damage the chimney any with that. It's like firing pepper flakes.
Yeah.
Send a bottle rocket up. That'll do it too.
Shoo!
Yeah.
All right, well that thing's gone.
And Noah, this one was for you.
I don't eat people, chat.
Filet my neighbor.
Yep. If you
I
see Noah
don't eat
move in next
people.
door,
I just know how
trust
to
me.
cook them. All right, I was a culinary major. We all know how to do this.
If he invites you over for dinner, Noah, you know what? Yep. Bring some Tums with
I
you.
was gonna say it'd be something similar to a pork loin, wouldn't it?
What movie is that came out, Robbie?
You guys like pork?
They had that. What movie was that, guys, that just came out? These people take a boat over to an island.
I don't know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the
Oh,
chef
what was
is
the name of it?
cooking- the chef is cooking humans on the menu.
Yeah,
They have
and
no idea.
Jeez.
yeah, it's like a big all-star cast too. I
Yeah.
can't remember the name. I know what you're talking about, Anthony, but I can't remember the name of
It
it.
just came out. People are coming up missing for the dinner, and they're like, "Wait, where was that couple that was here the other night?" And meanwhile, the guy's eating a steak, and he's looking down at it. He's like, "It's a pretty good steak." Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's like
crazy.
it's like, hey Noah, you still having issues with that neighbor who keeps like throwing stuff in your yard? Who? You guys
Yeah.
want pork?
They just moved out
You're going to be on
Spaced Out Radio tomorrow night.
She
with,
just put that up.
Yeah, I'll be on Spaced Out. I was going to mention that when we were wrapping up, but I'll be on Spaced Out Radio tomorrow night with Jessica. So guaranteed, this crowd is going to be sending me every meme they can find to try to crack me up while I'm on the air.
Hey, I don't do
Us?
that yet.
We don't do that. We never
Wait,
do that.
no.
No, we never do that to each other. No.
No.
Group chat tomorrow night's gonna look real interesting.
Jessica already knows, so when she sees him laughing or turning away, she'll have a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
She knows
No.
already.
This will be what you'll see.
Yeah, him looking down and not showing.
Yeah. I'll just screen my face with the brim of my hat.
Yeah.
Werewolf 5674 says no one can cook up some long pork.
Hey man, listen.
It's all in the wording. If you're invited over to dinner or for dinner.
Listen, man, listen. Like the thing is, like, I was in culinary classes for 6 years, y'all. So believe me when I say that every single semester there is some other jackass who is like, is it true that people cook like pork? And then your professor's like, yeah, it is. And sometimes they go into a little more detail about it. So I mean, I've heard how to cook people cumulatively 2 or 3 times a year for 6 years at one point.
I noticed there's some jackass. It was usually him. Hey, we cook people.
No, it wasn't me. After the first year, I stopped asking the question. Okay.
At the Donner Party cookbook here.
Here's Jessica. You see Jessica's thing? No, what is it? That was the Daily Show. Yeah, that was a long. I don't even know who that was.
I can't remember who it was. It's been
I know
a long time ago.
I think Robbie banned him. He banned him from the show because that was he got offensive with DA because we didn't see his comment or something. I think that was the guy.
That was. I think that was it.
He kept sending money to DA and asking Jessica out on the show. We were like, "Oh, come on, man, really?" Like,
come on, knock it out.
I'm not saying Jessica's a beautiful woman. I'm not saying that. But I mean, on the internet, as we're doing the show, he was just being obnoxious. Like,
dude's out here like, please.
Yeah, he was begging her, really.
Oh yeah.
I'm so lonely.
I'm like, all right, if you send $1,000, she might go out with you. And he kept sending money. I was joking with him.
Oh Lord.
You should have just kept bringing the number up. Well, 1,000. Okay, she doesn't seem so interested. Try 10,000.
He sent, I believe, if I'm not wrong, your dad will tell you. I think he sent close to almost $200 that night.
Jesus,
it's something along those lines.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was nuts.
Yeah, and then got mad because we didn't answer one of his comments.
And his comment wasn't even on there. We couldn't find it.
Yeah, we never found it.
So he got really upset, and then he got nasty with DA, and then started making some comments, and Robbie went, boop, delete, see you later. So
he gone.
Yeah.
Well, crap.
Way off topic. Holy shit.
we pretty much just already dropped the topic.
Well, it's 2 hours, guys. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we are a little over 2 hours. I think it's probably a good time to start wrapping things up.
Yep.
My oldest son is supposed to be coming by for a visit tonight anyway. So probably a good thing to start wrapping up. Folks, we've talked about our affiliates here, Scallywag Tactical and Dark Angel Medical. We love both those companies, not only because the guys that run those companies are just absolute awesome guys, but because they're veteran-owned companies, and we are all about supporting our veterans here. Doc has been one of my longest running supporters with the books. When the first Ragnarok book came out, he reached out to me and we started talking, and he's been by my side ever since. But he's the guy I text at 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, all right, I've written myself into a corner. What do I do?
Steve is the godfather.
Did I just kill this guy?
Steve is the godfather behind the books with DA almost. I mean, really.
Well, maybe of the Wild Hunt. Right. I came into Ragnarok as a fangirl, and kind of progressed from there. But
well, you guys have been friends a long time now.
We're going on what, 5 years?
I think we met in 2017.
Okay, almost 6 years.
Yeah.
I when DA's sister was ill and passing from this plane, we got to be pretty close friends. And of course, then I had that fangirl moment when I realized that he was DA Roberts.
Yeah, we knew each other for months before he knew I was a writer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Didn't you work together?
Yeah, same hospital. Yeah. I was in security. He was one of the nurses up on the 9th floor.
Steve, you never looked at the author's note in the back to see his face?
I didn't pay it. Didn't
listen, Steve. Some fan you are, all right.
It didn't process. It didn't process. I knew him by his first name rather than his DA, and so it just in my mind he wasn't DA.
The first time I read Ragnarok 1, I saw the author's note in the back with the picture in it, and I looked at it and I was like, hey, wait a minute, that's that guy.
Okay. That looks like my dad.
Hey, that looks like my dad, the guy who gave me this book.
So freaking weird! Holy crap!
Yeah, this is so odd.
I didn't know you. I didn't know you could spell.
Yeah. And he walks in there and goes, "Dad, you've been writing books?"
Yeah, that was just like 6 months ago.
Now he's on the show.
Yeah, I first began the ability to read 6 months ago. So then I started off with an easy one, you know, Ragnarok Rising 1, and decided to work it to a harder one. Redfish,
why?
Bluefish.
Redfish, Bluefish. Yeah, the writing's, it's pretty close.
Graduate from D.A. Roberts to Dr. Seuss. Oh my god.
Well, since we are on the tail end of things, Robbie, tell us about your podcast.
What's really out there, as we've come to lovingly, affectionately call it on this show, DAX Machina Light. Same types of topics and scenarios that we talk about on here. We just kind of do a shortened version usually of it on there. Norm, Johnny, and I, which actually, as of today, I talked with Lance, and he may be coming back for a few shows here and there, which Lance was the OG that started it with me, kind of like Steve was the OG here.
Yeah.
But Lance, got into life happened, and he didn't feel like he was able to fill that time that we needed, and he felt like he was letting me and everybody that was watching the show or listening to the show down. So, but as luck would have it, I met Norm through DA actually, and then Johnny actually sent us an email about the place we go investigate, and one thing led to another, and then Johnny and Norm pretty much became my co-hosts, and it's been that way ever since. So we might end up having Lance back with us and have it all four of us on a show or two. But we, like I said, we just do little 35, 40-minute shows. Sometimes we go a little bit longer depending on what the topic is. We record every Tuesday night, and we try to release on Mondays and Fridays. It's been kind of hectic, though, because Taylor and Tyler are getting their house. So Tyler has not had a whole lot of time for editing to get the shows together. So we've been kind of hit or miss on getting them downloaded. But we've got 2 more shows that are getting ready to come out probably next week. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify. We actually have a YouTube channel as well. What's really out there. Love for you to go subscribe to that YouTube channel. We're up to 221 subscribers, I believe, now. So thank y'all for all that. I think Toom's been putting the link on the chat, and I think I saw Meg put it on there a time or two, and maybe Miss Lydia put it on there once or twice too. If like I said, the same type of stuff. We're pre-recorded instead of live. We just don't have that set up yet. But yeah, that's pretty much the story. Same type of stuff that we go over here.
Well, I think you guys do some pretty awesome content over there. So make sure you guys go over there and like and subscribe to his channel. Noah, tell us about yours as well.
Oh, hi, I'm Noah. I'm Jorgamunder. Over on Twitch, I'm twitch.tv/Jorgamunder. On YouTube, I'm youtube.com/Jorgamunder. I make gaming content. We chill out, have a good time, just have, just kind of a chill out vibe session. Everyone just kind of hangs out, has a good time, and we laugh at each other. We make fun of each other. Pretty much the banter you hear us doing is just kind of constant over there. So I mean, if you guys like hanging out and just having a good time, I'm live every night besides Wednesdays and Saturdays, which coincidentally are when he's live. But I'm live from 7 p.m. Central Time to 1 a.m. Central Time. But yeah, I'd like to see some of you guys over there.
And if you have Noah, tell them about the Amazon Prime thing.
Oh yeah, if you have Amazon Prime, you can link your Twitch and Amazon accounts, and so you get 1 free subscription on Twitch a month. And if you want to give me that 1 free subscription, that'd be really cool.
And it costs you nothing because it's free.
Costs you nothing. It's free.
There you go.
Folks, we've had an awesome time tonight talking about Bigfoot and the Tsul Kalu, and we managed to stay sort of on topic for a while. But we've talked about a lot of the things, and if we've done nothing else, I hope that we've given you guys food for thought. There are no experts in this field, and anybody that says otherwise is full of it. Regardless of what anybody claims, there's nobody that has all the answers. There's nobody that knows everything about these creatures. There are no experts. All we have is theory, and unfortunately, we have a lot of BS in the field as well. And I refer to it as bullshitography, when somebody throws a couple of red circles on a picture of a bush and claims it's Bigfoot. And I think people like that do more harm to the field than they do good. But that's just me. Like it or hate it, that's just kind of who I am. I'm almost 20 years in law enforcement, and I'm very much firmly in the physical evidence category. What I can find, what I can see, what I can catalog, and I believe that there's a scientific explanation for why these things are the way they are. We've got to prove they exist at all before we can start ascribing supernatural abilities to them. And we're having a hard enough time getting mainstream science to agree that there's a possibility they're even out there, let alone starting talking about these far-flung claims that are pure speculation. David Bice says, I see a lot of red circle pictures on Facebook and just scroll past them. Same here. I don't even look at red circle photos anymore because they're generally a waste of time. But that's neither here nor there. That's one of the things we try to do on this show. We try to look for scientific and plausible theory on some of these claims. I'm not saying that it's impossible that something went through a portal or that it was able to cloak itself. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying it's impossible. What I'm saying is there's probably a more logical explanation, and people tend to ascribe bizarre descriptions to things they can't explain. And it's been the human condition down through the centuries. But the more we learn, the more we understand about these creatures, I think we're going to be able to explain a lot of this scientifically. And I think we've gone a long way finding these clear hair follicles, finding the ability to fall back on their tracks. There are plausible explanations for why these happen. But again, that's what we're about here, and what we're going to continue to do. And we're going to keep bringing, this kind of content for as long as we can, because we love doing it. Join us Wednesday night. We're going to be revisiting the UFO show that we did last Sunday with some updated information, as well as talking about the chemical spills that happened right about the same time in both Ohio and Arizona. So we're going to be going down the rabbit hole on that, talking more UFO stuff on Wednesday. So look for that, and I'll have an announcement for next Saturday's show as well. That's going to be another good one, but I haven't got it set up yet. So I will announce what that one is later. But again, thank you to the mods. Thank you to everybody in chat tonight. Thank you everybody for being part of the show. Thank you guys for spending this Saturday evening with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. We said it before. We don't have fans, we have friends, and we appreciate each and every one of you. And if you want to become part of the Patreon community, which you can have a hand in helping to decide some of the future of the DA-verse, as well as get advanced screenings of some books, as well as a lot of short stories that have never been published anywhere else. You can check that out at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor. There's material up there right now that has not been published anywhere that you're able to read if you're part of the Patreon community. So hopefully you'll check that out. So again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who spent the evening with us. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the Patreon supporters. Thank you, Anthony, Robbie, Doc, Noah, and Steve. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. And I wanted to leave you guys with something from an old Irish song. And it's just the first part of the song, but it kind of expresses everything I wanted to say. And that's to my co-hosts here on screen, as well as to everybody that's in the chat. It says, "Of all the money that I've ever had, I spent it in good company. And to all the harm that I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night, and joy be to you all." Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.